goes to the Vanier.
Fourth time in a row, Greg Marshall's team has come up empty.
The Laval Rouge et Or are Vanier Cup champions.
The Laval Rouge et Or will play at home for the Vanier Cup.
Greg Marshall is back, searching for his first Vanier Cup as a head coach. But once again, a dynasty stands in his way.
He's got it, and a Laval touchdown.
A 95-yard kick return.
Touchdown, Gingras Gagnon.
Merchants got Ellerman. Touchdown, Mustangs.
Here comes pressure, and down goes Sinagra.
Western and Laval, the top two teams in the country, are the last two standing. The Vanier Cup on Sportsnet right now. In the midst of this golden era for the Vanier Cup, the last 4 have been classics, 5 of the last 6 of the last 9. We welcome maybe the best matchup on paper coming in. No pressure, Western and Laval. Just got to keep it going for us here on Sportsnet. I'm Brad Fay with a group that has 2005 tied into it. Andy Fantus, the Heck Crichton winner out of Western University that year. And these two beside me, Steph Potasic and Andy Beckler, combined to win a Vanier Cup. Where was that played? Right here. Different stadium, but on these hallowed grounds. So these folks know all about what's at stake today. And Andy, you're the Western alum. We give you the first word because you've been around this team all week. Laval will always be a favorite when they are in a Vanier Cup. They've proven that. They have the pedigree. But this Western team has an offense that we haven't seen in this country for a long, long time. Is it enough for them to get by Laval on this day?
Well, I find it so intriguing with this game that it seems like such an unknown. You have Laval team who's in all these tight games and all these tough matchups, but they always come out on top. They're that consistent force. And then Western's just been rolling over people. So it really is an unknown. It might be a close game. It could be a blowout. It's a lot of fun and very exciting to watch. So do they have enough? Well, you can't forget about that defense. They're number 2 in the country also. So in my opinion, I think, I guess that's my bias talking, but I hope Western comes out with the W.
It's Steph, we saw last year that Calgary came out flying. First play went deep, scored a touchdown, and got Laval back on their heels. But we also saw, and we heard Glenn Constantine say, we bend, we don't break. They are patient, they are conservative because they know they will eventually wear down a team. What can Western do to put some doubt in the minds of Laval?
Western's just got to survive this first quarter. One of the advantages of not being in competitive football games is they're healthy, but they haven't played at this speed or with this type of an opponent in a long, long time. So if they can just survive the first 30 minutes, maybe take a shot or two, but I think more conservative for Greg Marshall until he feels them out and just get through the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, and expand on what you were saying earlier, Andy, that here's a Western team that scored 61, 75 or 66, 75 and 81 points in the 3 playoff games. They have not been challenged. Laval had to get by its old rival Montreal, the only team that has beaten Laval since Steph Potasic's McMaster team beat them in the 2011 Vanier Cup, and then a good one, Calgary, in a rematch of last year's Vanier Cup. So it's almost a bit of the rest versus rust philosophy heading into this one, isn't it?
Yeah, and it might mean that we'll have to see some different players on Western step up today if they're going to get the W, because it's been the rushing game that's just been carrying the load for Western. Well, guess what? No one's better at stopping the run than Laval. And when they put some more guys in the box and match up with you, we're going to have to see some Western receivers who are probably going to be in man-to-man make some big plays. They haven't had to this season, but I think today we're going to have to see that for Western.
13th appearance. That is an all-time record for the Western Mustangs. Laval playing in its 11th. Tim McAuliffe and Mike Moriali will have the call for us and their early thoughts. Tim.
Thank you very much, Brad and Mike. If you would have scribbled down on a napkin at the start of the playoffs what most people would choose as a dream matchup for the Vanier Cup. You probably would have got Laval. You probably would have got Western. What makes this so intriguing to you?
Well, this goes back quite a ways. This is arguably the best two programs in youth sports history, number one. Number two, they've got the top two in Vanier Cup appearances, top two in Vanier Cup wins. They got coaches that are breaking records in terms of wins and loss records. This has the matchup to be an all-time special game. Western is undefeated, yet ranked number 2 in the country. Yep. Laval's got the one loss to Montreal, but ranked number 1. It's set up here. Really, all they have to do now is play, Tim, but there's excitement in the crowd. There's excitement as they come out of the tunnel. It's going to be a tremendous game.
These kids primed to go, this crowd primed to go. We're primed to go as we send it back down to Brad Payne. Brad.
And there are the Western Mustangs getting ready to take their place at Tim Hortons Field. The 5th time the city of Hamilton has played host to the Vanier Cup. Obviously the 2nd time at this building, the previous 3 at Ivor Wynne Stadium. And you guys have been down that tunnel, Andy. Be standing there. We love to talk about it every year because for some it's their last game. For some it's the biggest game. For most it's the biggest game they'll ever play. The emotions are something you've got to keep in check, but you got to use that to your advantage as well, don't you?
Yeah, and I think that kind of favors the defense early on, because when you talk about playing on emotion, they're going to be flying all over the field. And there's quite a bit of unknown for these two programs. As storied as they are, they aren't meeting every other year in National Semi Bowl games. Maybe there's some East-West Bowl crossover and kind of all-star formats, but overall, I mean, we're going off film and we're going to get a good look in real life shortly here for these two teams.
Steph, let's talk about the 2 quarterbacks, and there's Chris Merchant, who you mentioned in the pregame show has done a lot of handing off. This team runs the ball better than anyone in the country, but maybe against Laval, eventually it'll have to come off the arm, as we also get a look at Hugo Richard. But Merchant first.
Yeah, Merchant hasn't been asked to open it up and throw 40-plus times a game. He has all the tools and all the ability to do so. He just has no experience. Tonight, he may get the opportunity. On the flip side, Hugo has been throwing it 30-plus times a game in each of his playoff games. Interesting thing about Richard, has not thrown an interception in the entire playoff game stretch, and hasn't actually thrown an interception in over about 150 passes. So he is on quite a roll. He takes care of the football.
Andy Fantus, again, give us an idea what to expect when what the quarterback and what Western does. You said every single play, whether they hand it off or not, they do what?
They're going to put the ball in the running back's belly, and that's going to cause the defense to have to respect the run. They're known for the run. That'll give a chance for the receivers to get behind those linebackers and catch some passes on the play action.
As ceremonies continue before the 53rd Vanier Cup in Hamilton, Laval, the champions out of Quebec, they took care of business in the Mitchell Bowl against their old rivals, really national rivals, the Calgary Dinos, a rematch of the Vanier Cup last year with a similar result. Laval winning a close one. And as we mentioned, Western had little trouble against Acadia in the UTEC Bowl. And for Western, a drought that feels like forever for a program like that. 6 championships, but none since 1994. You can only play it this group, but that's got to weigh over them as well a little bit with the history.
Yeah, and I think it's something that, the kids in that locker room are even aware of, because, when you're 17 and 18 coming out of high school, I promise you do not know the history of the 3 or 4 universities that you might not be going to, but it doesn't take long once you settle in. Start reading the plaques on the hallways in your athletic center and your facilities, so they know what's at stake. And like you kind of mentioned, Brad, it's going to be a matter of taking care of those nerves early.
What do you do, Steph, as a coach to make sure these guys know that the moment is what it is, but to not have it be too big?
Yeah, as a coach, you always focus on process, not outcome. And so you trust the process you've been through all season. Especially important for Western, who this big game they haven't been in a while. Laval, as you pointed out, this is on their calendar each and every year, and they know it's process-oriented. For Western, again, that start and getting out of the gate consistently like a normal Western team will be a big step in the right direction for getting a win this afternoon.
Fear has been a big factor for the Laval Rouge et Or because most teams don't believe they can beat Laval. Ben Chapdelaine is the PA announcer, and he will set us up for the national anthem at Tim Hortons Field.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez bien vouloir vous lever, enlevez vos chapeaux et casquettes et joignez-vous à la jeune Sienna Coxes pour l'hymne national.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons. l'histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Never gets old. Right over our head here in the corner of the end zone at Tim Hortons Field. The flyover means we are moments away from kickoff. Andy Fantuz is contractually obligated to pick Western or he revokes his alumni card. But give us a final score, Andy, today.
Boy, those Jets are awesome, huh? Wow, never gets old. I'm going to go 37-29 Western. I think that they're going to have a... Laval's going to be pressuring at the end to catch up, and Western will break a big one near the end.
Steph, what do you think?
I'm going to predict boldly that Laval's going to have more rushing yards this afternoon, but Western's going to pull it out 28-27.
Well, there's purple in the tie for Mr. Fantuz, so we did know that was coming, didn't we? But I think we have so many tight Vanier Cups lately. Brad, how about another one decided by a field goal? And Western's got a pretty good kicker too. How about Mark Leggio hitting one late?
There you go, all three across the board in Western. The importance of the first quarter, Steph, on a team that has played two tough playoff games compared to a team that has not been tested yet in Western.
Yeah, we know that Western's about 70% run on first down. Let's see in that first quarter how many times Marchand drops back to pass on the opening play of a drive.
Tim McAuliffe getting set to call his 10th Vanier Cup, standing by with All-Canadian receiver Mike Moriali. Guys, it is all yours.
Great. Tuva, you're going to answer for Western.
Thank you very much, Brad. The two most decorated programs in Canadian college football for the right to call themselves national champions. This is Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, and this is our opening coin toss.
It is heads. Would you like to? Okay. Laval va déférer à la deuxième moitié. Western will receive. Okay. Vont changer.
Greg McLean is our head referee today out of the AUS. And Coach Glenn Constantine said the coin toss may be important given the weather that usually rolls here in Hamilton. And the weather today might be late November, but you wouldn't really know it. It's actually a balmy, overcast day for what is Hamilton weather. 7 degrees Celsius, the wind out of the northwest at 21 kilometers an hour for now, but that always changes on these premises. And not just the top two teams in the nation, but probably the two most recognizable coaches in the nation. Greg Marshall and Glenn Constantine going toe-to-toe. Marshall, the only thing that has eluded him in his illustrious career is a Vanier Cup title. He'll look for that today in his old hometown of Hamilton, while Glenn Constantine is looking for his 9th Vanier Cup title in just 17 years at Laval. Time now for our keys to victory, brought to you by Adidas.
Yeah, let's take a look at Laval first. Let's get physical. I'm not talking about Olivia Newton-John and her leg warmers. I'm talking about pushing guys around. Laval does that very, very well, and they plan on doing that today. And then if you're Western, you want to hold your own on special teams. In the playoffs, specials are extremely important. The Western football team is very good, but they lack a little bit of depth compared to Laval when it comes to specials. That'll be a great matchup as we go forward today.
In a world where we are constantly smashed over the head with the big and the bold, this remains distinctly Canadian. These are our kids playing our game for our national championship, the 53rd edition of the Vanier Cup between the top 2 teams in the nation and the 2 most decorated teams in Canadian college football history is about to get underway here in Hamilton. Mike, it feels for many who know about this game that this could be a slugfest or a shootout.
Yeah, it's really going to go both ways here. The guys are up and down on what's going to happen. I myself think it's going to be a defensive battle. However, both teams have the ability to lay, get some points on the board.
This is Snoop Doig of 425 Tactical Fighter Squadron, wishing you all an exciting Vanier Cup.
Thank you, Captain Tim Doig, from the 425 Squadron out of 3-Wing Bagotville in his CF-18 Hornet, one of Canada's frontline fighter jets. And David Cote is set to get us underway in the 53rd Vanier Cup. The Western Mustangs will receive from their own 15. This is Mike Sinanis drilled at the 25-yard line, and that's where we get our first look at the Western quarterback, Chris Merchant, a Calgary native who arrived at Western after playing D1 ball at the University of Buffalo and high school just north of Toronto at St. Andrews. Now he's the pivot of the highest scoring offense in the nation at over 48 points per game. And Mike, the Western Mustangs have scored on their first drive of the football game in all 11 games this year.
Yeah, they've become used to doing that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens today as we start this football game.
Cedric Joseph is the deep back, and it will be the Montreal native who is swallowed up on the first play from scrimmage, Gabriel Ouellette, whose name we called a lot last week, on the tackle.
The beauty of both these teams playing, because they're from different conferences, they face different opponents. They don't get to see the types of offenses or defenses that each other run on a regular basis, which opens us up to a little bit of unknown for us up here.
Chris Merchant straight back. Here comes pressure. He can run, will run to the 30, looking for the first down at the 35, and he will be very close at the 37-yard line.
Good run by Merchant up front. Matthew Betts just put the lineman on his back right there, top of your screen. David Brown, but Merchant gets out of the pocket and gets a nice run for a first down.
He is one of the top 5 rushers among quarterbacks this year, a 9.9 average on 47 rushes. So he can move the sticks with the legs, and he does just that on a second down and long. Cedric Joseph again, the ball carry, and Joseph, who has 10 touchdowns in just 3 playoff games. Again, minimal gain, call it 3 on first down, and he is one of our players to watch, brought to you by Wilson.
Yeah, Joseph's going to play heavy into this game, as well as Merchant on offense. And when you turn the tables on defense, Sopik, this guy, he's not a big guy, but he's always around the football. He's going to have to come up big today against that Laval offense.
A look at Cedric Joseph out of Champlain College, where he played with a lot of the guys that he is facing today on Laval. Merchant, second and long, sets up the screen, completes the screen to Joseph. Got some room to the 50, cuts it back to the midfield, and will step out of bounds at the 54-yard line. A pickup of 16 and a Western first down.
So this play is set up really well. The offensive line allow their defenders to approach them, then release them. Merchant, nice job, takes a shot after the play, but dump off Matthew Betts on the shot, and Cedric Joseph smartly gives a little ground to gain some ground.
Looked like he might have been able to turn the corner there, Mike, as he reached that edge, but a first down into Laval territory. Here's our first look at Alex Taylor. A first-team All-Canadian gets a block from his quarterback to gain 5. And Merchant showing off all 215 pounds as he lays a big lick to spring his back.
Oh, you got to love when the quarterbacks are hyped up and they get into the game. Play option there. Taylor cuts it back. And there's the block. Adam Auclair, All-Canadian, gets put on his backside by the quarterback.
And that's not just any linebacker. That is not only an All-Canadian, but the stand-up defensive player of the year in the Quebec Conference. So second down manageable. Merchant looking deep. And it is complete to the 20-yard line. Cole Majaros on the reception for the Mustangs.
You're not going to see Merchant drop back and pass on first down too often. This is a run-first football team, but they've had some success early. That time there, the ball is well thrown. Great protection up front. Even though a man gets through, he steps up in the pocket, and great job of Majoros to come back and attack the football.
Just his second catch of the postseason gives Western a 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. Read option again, dumps over the middle and completes. Christophe Gagnon on the tackle there, but not after a gain of 6, maybe 7 yards on first down for the Mustangs.
You have to really like what the Western offense is doing. They're dictating the play of the game, the style of the game. They're moving the football. They're getting in and up to the line of scrimmage as quick as possible and keeping Laval on their heels.
So Western, who has scored on every possession to start a football game, looking to do the same. Merchant, the keeper, Merchant, touchdown Western! 66 in their first playoff game, 75 in their second, last week 81, and they put up a major against the best defense in the nation here in their first drive of the Vanier Cup.
And you got to give Merchant a lot of credit here. He really showed the poise of the quarterback position. That time there, he fakes the end around, middle of the field opens up, and he takes it in untouched into the end zone. Western has certainly taken control of this football game early.
Mark Leggio tacks on the extra point, and a dream start for the Mustangs. 7 plays, 84 yards, capped by Chris Merchant, and it's 7-0 Stangs. Chris Merchant and the Mustangs get a great start. In fact, Laval averaged less than 10 points per game against. Western Mustangs just picked up 7 on their first drive of the 53rd Vanier Cup, and Mark Leggio gets us back into action. 3-time all-conference returner Anthony Dufour to the 15 and taken down at the 19-yard line, where we get our first look at Hugo Richard and this Laval Rouge et Or offense. Richard, a senior from Longueuil, who was once questioned in Quebec City, but now a 2-time Conference Player of the Year and trying to become a 2-time national champion here today. There was a game last year, Dunsmore Cup against Montreal. He gave away the ball on 3 straight possessions to start that football game. And Coach Constantine said he learned a ton from that, came back to win that game, and hasn't looked back. In fact, he has just 1 loss since that football game. He will throw on first down and complete over the middle. Oh, no, that's a great play to knock it out. Philippe Dion, along with Jean-Gab Poulain, as we look at the Laval players to watch, brought to you by Wilson.
Yeah, we talked about Matthew Betts, and rightfully so. Breton Robert is going to be their kind of go-to receiver, and then Alaire Tardif in the backfield, 77 yards last week. He's the guy to watch, but Amoa is going to get some playing time as well.
Little thunder and lightning in the backfield for the Laval Rouge et Or. That's Alaire Tardif motioning to the left side of Richard. He has time in the pocket, delivers over the middle, intended for Savard. So it is 2 and out for the Laval offense.
That time that ball dipped on Hugo Richard and got away from him. Receiver was open on a simple in route. They were running cover 1 or man-to-man as a defense for Western. We'll have to keep an eye on that matchup as the game progresses.
Laval's offense, no slouch, 8th in the nation, 1st in Quebec, averaging over 33 points per game. But a 2 and out on their first possession. And remember, last year, Vanier Cup, same stadium, Calgary got out to a 14-0 lead. But Laval came back because that's what they do. Dominique Levesque. A high kick taken by Mike Sinanis, a Montreal native, flagged down as he steps out around the 48-yard line of Laval. So good field position for now before we check on the flag.
They'll probably get this backed up against Western here. As looked like it was a hold. We got the call. Get a chance to take a look at it here. Right there, that tug will get you every time. Right in front of the referee, and that backs up Western for 10.
Retenue, holding, Western, number 31, 31. 10 yards, 10 yards, Premier say.
So that'll move the ball back to the 49-yard line. That was Jordan Beaulieu, who was holding on to Tyrone Pierre. But still, real good field position for Merchant and the Mustangs. Offset I formation, plenty of motion. Pull it out, Merchant with time, shuffles, looking deep for Ellerman, and overthrows his intended receiver, Emile Chenevert, there on the coverage. Merchant hasn't thrown it a ton this year, as Steph Potasic mentioned in the pregame show. As you see there, David Brown limping, but when he does, he's been real efficient.
Oh, he certainly has, you know, an all-around game to him. That time there, he had a couple receivers open that I wish, when you watch this film, he had the ball back on that one.
On second down, again, shuffle step, overthrows his intended receiver there, Harry McMaster. And Laval, after giving up the opening possession touchdown, get it right back.
Yeah, so now it's probably a good time to talk about how this Laval team responds to being down. They're not used to it often, but in the times in big games that we've seen them get down, last year, Vanier, last week against Calgary, they tend to take a few minutes to figure out the other team, figure out what they're doing, and then they kind of attack. So we'll see if it holds true today. They got their 2 and out they're looking for there.
Leggio in the punt, 6th in the nation in punting. Spiraling kick to 4, who won the battle of field position for Laval, limited to a 3-yard return. So Le Rouge et Or will scrimmage from their own 23 when we return to the ArcelorMittal Vanier Cup. Welcome back to Tim Hortons Field here in Hamilton. Western by 7 early as we reintroduce the 3rd member of our team, Nikki Raz. Nikki.
Thanks, guys. Let's talk about Philippe Dion. He is used to the aches and pains that comes with playing football, but in May of 2016, he had enough with this uncomfortable feeling that he had every time he would take a drink. After multiple tests, it was discovered that he had a birth defect to the tube that connects from his bladder to his kidneys. One of his kidneys was functioning at just 11% and had to be removed. Dion told me literally the first question he asked his neurologist was, could he continue to play football? Fortunately for Dion, the answer was yes. All he has to do now is wear some extra paddings around his ribs like the quarterbacks do. But Dion told me that he couldn't do strenuous activity for 6 weeks after the surgery. He did some mental training, some breathing exercises to stay in shape. And by the time training camp rolled around in August, he was good to go and hasn't missed a beat, guys.
No, neither is this Western defense early, as Hugo Richard had his pass knocked down. He's now 0 for 3 to start the football game.
Oh, number 65, Lefebvre for Laval, was about a half-second late getting off the ball. Martin, nice job knocking down and hanging with Richard as he takes the ball and tries to get to the outside.
Surprised they've thrown this often early, given the size differential between that O-line and the D-line of Western?
So far, that's a big mismatch right now from a weight perspective.
And again, the pass. All 4 plays were called passes. Richard will try and run, picks up a block from his running back before being taken down by J.G. Poulain. Some pushing and shoving, and it's about a yard shy of the first down, depending on the spot.
You know, at about 6'4", 220, Hugo Richard is not afraid to use his feet, and he's a big body. So you see there, gets down, lunges forward for what seems to be, well, we're going to get a measurement here. It's going to be mighty close to a first down.
And Hugo Richard isn't the prettiest quarterback, but he's a mechanical engineering student. He's a very cerebral football player. And when he needs to make plays, he just seemingly comes up with them one after another.
He's very calm as well in the pocket. I think he's learned from some of the mistakes he made earlier on in his career. This is going to be just shy of the first down. But, you know, to his credit, he throws at over 70% accuracy. So he's doing something right. And these receivers are not big guys for the most part if you look at the depth chart for Laval, but they make some solid catches, but he's got to throw in some tight windows.
He was 70% in the regular season. How about the postseason? Over 75% in the postseason for Hugo Richard. So it's just short. Saw the big fellas running in here, Mike, and even though the Riverboat Gambler seems to be on the western side of things with Greg Marshall, the usually conservative Glenn Constantine is going to go for it here on third down.
I think we talked a bit about the size differential. I think they feel that they can lunge forward at least for this yard.
3rd and inches for Laval. Richard alone in the backfield, and he will push forward, and it appears as though he has the first down.
The initial push seems like stood him up, but then he drove his feet to gain the first down. And really, when you talk about Glenn Constantine, the way he coaches, he's not going to take a lot of risks. This would be about as risky, I think, as you get in your own end, going for it on 3rd and 1.
Nicolas Gay with a fantastic drive block to open up some space there. And they've shuffled around this offensive line. Some wondering if perhaps there was some weakness. But Carl Brennan, their offensive line coach, maybe the best in the nation, always seems to have them ready. Double tight set as they give it off to Alavi Tardif. Not much shimmy or shake in his game. He'll just lower the shoulder and pick up 4.
But this is the thing, and both teams do this quite well. They're going to extend the box. They're going to put 6 or 7 in the box. They're going to try and widen, make the backers step up. So really, once you're past the initial line of scrimmage, there's some daylight. So to hold somebody here to 4 or 5 yards, I mean, it's either going to be 4 or 5, or it's going to be 40 or 50.
Hugo Richard, 0 of 3 to start this football game. Stands in the shotgun on 2nd and 6. And he was looking for Breton Robert, who was looking for a flag. None forthcoming. Bleska Kabamba on the coverage for the Western Mustangs.
It looked like a little quick pull by Kabamba. Obviously, Breton Robert is trying to plead his case, but I think he may have one. I don't know if we'll get a look at it. It was a slight tug. Nonetheless, looks like the refs are letting these guys play to start the game.
So that'll bring Dominique Levesque back into the game. Stands at his own 25-yard line. He was 8th in the nation this year in punting. Sinanis and Trey Hughes back to receive for the Mustangs. Pressure comes, gets it off. And here's Sinanis chasing it down. His 21 to the 31 and beyond. A 12-yard return for Mike Sinanis. And Western will start again from the 32-yard line.
You know, Sinanis there and his other returner have to be a bit careful to not let that ball touch the ground. That punt gained about another 10 yards after it hit the ground. We have a Laval player down on the field, but talked about special teams being important. Merchant coming back on the field, done a great job in his opening or second series, driving down for, say, the opening series, driving down for 7, went 2 and out next time around.
That's the 3rd possession of the football game for
Rudess,
Western.
unnecessary roughness. Western, number 32. Trogde, Tanvers, 15 yards, first down.
As you heard from Greg McLean, the 15-yard penalty assessed to the Mustangs puts it on their own 18-yard line. So a costly one on special teams. A part of the game that Laval definitely won against Calgary and might have been the difference in the Mitchell Bowl. Some waggle from the Western offense. In the pistol, Alex Taylor, the ball carry. He picks up almost 3 yards. Set up down a 2nd down and 7 as we look at the Western Mustangs road to the Vanier Cup. Perfect. 8-0 in the OUA, and there you see the offensive numbers, video game-like in the postseason.
Yeah, those aren't typos. Those are legit, and let's face it, in some of those games, their starters did not play the full 60 minutes.
And thus healthy here in a national championship game, which is relatively rare. Merchant, time elapsing in the pocket, will spin out, try and pick up a block, throwing on the run, and completes to Joseph at the 30-yard line. Good for a Mustangs first down, although as the ball popped out, Laval bench is trying to say it was incomplete. There's a discussion, and they'll say it was a catch.
Yeah, from up here, looked like a great catch. Merchant buys a lot of time. Great block up front by the back. It actually is Joseph that makes the initial cut block, gets up, makes the catch, and definitely had possession as he touched the ground. Look at Merchant just get out of the backfield, get some help up front. He seems to be playing with a lot of poise.
I guess the question would be, did he complete the catch? Taylor, great cutback. And he lowers his shoulders. The first team All-Canadian missed the Yates Cup after arthroscopic knee surgery. And because of the blowout at Acadia, he only touched the ball twice in that game. Gave him almost an extra week to get back to full strength for this one.
And it's not too long ago he had a scope of the meniscus. So this, you know, the fact that he's back here playing it is tremendous. He's going to add a little 1-2 punch to that backfield with Joseph.
So the senior from Winnipeg goes to the sidelines, and Joseph back in there. Play action. Merchant, plenty of time, looking for Ellerman down the middle. And again, Emile Chenevert was there step for step as Merchant took a shot.
And now the old riverboat gamblers, we watch Merchant play action fake. Seemingly has a lot of time. Nice pop at the end by Betts. It seemed a bit high around the shoulders as he shakes it off and comes to the sideline. And looks like Greg Marshall is going to opt to play it safe here and bring the punt team out.
Looks like he's really trying to shake that one off. Mathieu Betts, among the best players in the country, and one that many hear them asking if he's all right. He says yes, but the grimace tells a different story. That was a shot he took, and that's not the last time we'll say the name Mathieu Betts in this game. Dufour from his own 20 after a good punt. He'll bring it out to the 27-yard line. A 47-yard punt, a 7-yard return after Betts makes an impact in this football game. You saw Chris Merchant take a shot before the break, and Western fans hoping he's okay because he's done everything for him, including laying a block.
Yeah, you know what? Get a shot, give a shot, I guess. But, you know, he's really kind of opened up the game here. Greg Marshall has, and Snyder, the offensive coordinator for Western, and did a lot more mixing up of the pass run. And I think that they are feeling quite comfortable with how they're running the offense. And Merchant came, shook it off, whatever was ailing him, after the last Mathieu Betts hit. And Hugo Richard lining up for Laval into center.
First and 10 from their own 28. Laval going to the air again. Richard with plenty of time finds Breton Robert. That's his first completion of the football game. It's good for 13 and a first down.
Talked about Breton Robert, going to be the go-to guy. This time Western falls into a zone defense. You get a great look here. Tons of time for Hugo Richard. Smart play. One lane is closed. You scoot over to the next one. Great catch.
Breton Robert is their target. In fact, 31 in the playoffs. Etienne Moisin is the second highest, and he's got 16. Christopher Amoa with his first ball carry of the game. And this is the Lightning de Alarie Tardif's Thunder. Picks up close to 5 on first down.
I think if you're Western, if you could limit that game to 3 or 4 yards on first down, you're doing all right, because they're not the, you know, they run well, but they're not their consistent 8, 9, 10-yard guys. So you want to force Hugo Richard into a throwing situation.
Amoa on the hip of Richard. Hasn't played since October 21st with an ankle injury. The 11th on the CFL Combine list. Pressure coming. Richard sidesteps it, and then it comes to him again. Connor Martin among the Mustangs that meet at the quarterback, along with Jimmy Hawley.
So if you're not blessed with size and you're going against bigger guys, you got to beat him with speed. And really, this is all speed. This is all aggression. You got backers adding in. They're moving around the pocket. Poulin is the one that gets Hugo Richard uncomfortable, and then Hawley and the crew wrapped him up.
You're going to see a lot of that from this 30 front, the 3-4 defense of the Western Mustangs, who just decided to go that way this year because they had lost some big names on the defensive line and just had a bunch of really good linebackers. So the personnel sets them up in the 3-4, and you'll see a lot of blitzing from Dion, Poulin, Vanier, and Sopik. Levesque, low line drive, taken on the run by Haru. And that is a 5th-year senior catching the ball in the air, lowering the shoulder to take it to the 48-yard line. That's right out of the special teams textbook, isn't it?
Perfect. We talked about last time not letting the ball bounce. This time Haru, he's got the experience and veteran leadership on his side, takes it in the air. You know, at the very worst, you draw a flag. That time, no flag, but great field position.
How much of a luxury is that? That's a former OUA Rookie of the Year, former OUA first-team All-Star. He is their 3rd-string running back and returning kicks.
Shows you the depth, but in big games, you have to play wherever you can on the field.
Cedric Joseph, the deep back. Looked like some miscommunication there. And because of it, Merchant is going to go down. He ended up picking up 2 yards as Matthew Betts was once again harassing the quarterback.
Definitely an issue in the backfield as Merchant goes. Joseph the opposite way. Matthew Betts never stops. Takes him down. Fortunate enough that they gained a couple yards on the play.
Matthew Betts, 2-time Metris Trophy winner for outstanding down lineman. He's in his 3rd year of eligibility. Merchant on the keeper, and he is hit hard at the 50, keeps the legs churning, but can't get any more, and it'll be 3rd down.
This is where you start to get a little nervous if you're a Western Mustang fan. Over the last several times that they've played in big games, they've always had issues with injuries to their key personnel and especially quarterback. When you got a guy like Merchant, there's no doubt he's putting his head down, he's running, he's ready to play. You want to keep him for the full 60 minutes on his feet.
Miranda Bizou and Harry Limena on the tackle. There you see Merchant grimacing again. And remember, Stevenson Bone, his backup, broke his arm in the final regular season game of the year. They've got freshman Kevin John as the only man to back him up. Dufour allows this to roll into the end zone, jumps on it, and gets a flag for no yards in the end zone. And that's that special teams battle, Mike, that we think could play a huge factor in this game.
Yeah, first of all, tremendous punt, and also a great decision by Dufour to let it go in the end zone. This is that, you know, Coach Constantine, he's going to give up the one. He's going to wait for this game to unfold, but you got to be a bit smarter here if you're Western. You can't allow for just a cheap, silly penalty.
And because these teams are so well matched, in the lead up to this game, a lot of the questions from the media, and surprisingly, because you got a great offense, a great defense, were about special teams.
Special teams, although somewhat and sometimes, most of the time, overlooked, in big games, always have a big deciding factor somewhere along the way.
So the decision is about the point, is it not, Mike?
Yeah, it's going to be whether they accept the point, which I'm assuming they will, and they'll get the yardage tacked on here. And they're going to start once they put the ball down at the 35-yard line.
Zone d'unité, Western. A penalty is declined. Penalty est refusé. And sent. Single point.
So it's declined 8-0 Western with $1:45 remaining in our opening quarter.
Yeah, you're wondering why it's declined. They're looking at field position here. They didn't want to not give up the point and then be stuck deep in their own end on another punt situation.
Richard fakes the handoff. He's going to have to run. He is dragged down. It's Connor Martin again. The junior out of Chatham having himself a game early.
Listen, size doesn't seem to matter today for the Western D-line in that front seven. It's about speed. It's about getting into the backfield and disrupting Hugo Richard. Martin again, hands up, make him come back inside where you have help, and then rally to the football.
Flag went down. I'm not sure when it went down, but it's going to move the ball 10 yards up.
Illegal contact. Western, number 8. Contact illegal. Western, numero 8. 10 yards, 10 yards, first down.
So from the 45, that's on Jesse McNair, 50-year senior from London St. Thomas Aquinas, former All-Canadian. Big mistake there, and gives a fresh set of downs from the 45. Christopher Amoa, the ball carrier, and he is hit quickly. Slicing through to make the tackle is Fraser Sopik, one of those 4 talented linebackers for the Western Mustangs.
The best thing about Fraser Sopik is just the motor. It keeps running. Not a big guy, about 205, but look how he takes down Amoa, wraps the legs up, limits the gain to just about 2 yards.
Leads the team in tackles in the postseason. An OUA All-Star at both linebacker and special teams as a gunner. So you know he is form tackling when he gets that opportunity. Second and long. Richard over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Savard. That'll bring up third down.
So Laval still struggling a bit to find the rhythm that we're used to seeing. Really a testament to what this Western defense has been able to do. McNair coming out there, even if the ball was on target, he was in great position to wrap it up. And Richard, you kind of see a bit of, you know, he's a bit worried about what's happened so far. I think he would like things to be a bit tighter.
The one thing I kept saying to you before the game was this Western defense isn't getting enough publicity. I mean, they were second in the nation in points per game. They led the nation in yards allowed per game. And here in the first quarter, albeit Laval working into the win, they've looked good. Almost got to Levesque. Another good kick into that win. And it is returned by Sinanis out to the 27-yard line with just 11 seconds remaining in our opening quarter.
You know, when we try to evaluate teams that don't play against each other regularly, it's hard to kind of guesstimate what's going to happen. You go on what happens in the regular season, what you see of them in the playoffs, and then you make assumptions. And we've all assumed that Western in this offense, although they've been destroying teams throughout the year, that they'd face this amazingly tough test today against Laval, which they're going to.
Yeah.
But it hasn't seemed to stop them being successful, which if you start strong against Laval, that gives you the best chance to carry out a victory.
Alex Taylor is the deep back. They motion the fullback and give it to him. Nice seam to the 35 to the 40, spinning to the 45-yard line. A pickup of 21 yards and a Western first down to end the first quarter.
This is all Alex Taylor, and if you give him a little bit of a crease, he can go to the house, no problem. Cedric Joseph and him going to platoon back and forth. That's a nice situation to be in.
And that is the end of our first quarter of play in the 53rd Vanier Cup. Western scores on their opening possession of the football game and lead by 8.
Back at Tim Hortons Field, the Western Mustangs strike early. They lead 8-0 after 1. A lot of the yards that they put up were in that first drive, Andy Beckler. And look at the numbers offensively for Laval. Western's defense showing it belongs.
Yeah, I think if you're grading that opening quarter from a Western perspective, that's an A, because they got it done offensively early. And on the defensive side of the ball, Hugo Richard has looked a little uncomfortable. Western getting to the quarterback is not what they do best. But got a sack early on. You can see the confidence starting to build, so a nice start for the Mustangs.
Western up 8, zip with the ball. Tim McCallum and Mike Moriali to start the second quarter.
And Western starts bad from the 45. They run it with Alex Taylor, pick up 5. So you're seeing a steady diet of both Taylor and Joseph.
Yeah, and rightfully so. You want to, in your big games, you want to get the best people possible on the football field. The best thing about these two in the backfield, they don't care how many carries they have each. They just want to win football games.
Taylor again, and again the carry. And he will have a first down across midfield. Alex Taylor, a 3-time All-Canadian, and that is a rare feat in this country.
Well, you better believe it. Take a look at what he's been able to do in the other club, the exclusive club for three-time All-Canadians, Alex Taylor, Mercer Timmis, Anthony Coombs, and Eric Lapointe.
All of them going on to the CFL. All great bats. And since 95. Merchant looking deep down the seam, and it is knocked away again. Chenevert has been step for step with everyone they've thrown at him. That was Malik Bessiger, who was the intended receiver.
And just the way Bessiger tried to adjust to this football at the end, almost looks like he stopped a bit to come back. But a great defensive play as well, as the ball just leaks a little bit over his left shoulder.
Chenevert is a sophomore from Garneau in Quebec City. That Sejep system just churning out players, including several on the Western Mustangs. In fact, 9 on the dress roster from Quebec. And on second down and long, Western chooses to run with Taylor. He picked up 4, and it'll be third down.
We have a Laval player down, just trying to catch the number. But they're going to run 2nd and 10. Not afraid to put the ball on the ground and move it, this time right at the point of attack. Laval player gets hit and on the ground after the tackle, limiting the gain to 3 or almost 4.
So it appears as though some friendly fire here. Now that's a helmet to helmet, and it looks like number 6, Louis-Philippe Saint-Amand, who delivered the blow on Taylor. But sometimes, even when you're the hammer, if you're using your head or leading with your head, it's just as dangerous to you as well. I think we've come to learn that over the last few years.
We have come to learn it, definitely. Big collision, of course, they'll take all the precautions, go through the concussion protocols, and anytime you get a headshot, they're going to go and do that, especially if you're down on the field. So we're hoping that everything works out okay.
That's a first step, and a good one, as the sophomore from Notre Dame de Foix in Quebec City makes his way off the field. And he's been basically a backup DB, but been all over the field for them in the playoffs. They've been using them as a linebacker in some situations, as the nickel. Makes the tackle. We'll have to see if he returns to this football game after that headshot. Into the wind now, Western kicking. Leggio has it hop out of bounds inside the 20 at the 16-yard line. So despite the fact it was just a 34-yard kick, the net remains the same, and a flag is also down.
Yeah, late flag, we'll get a look at exactly what that is. I didn't see any no yards. And it's going to be going against Laval, backing them up. So really, Western got exactly what they wanted. No return and a penalty to back up the start of Laval well into their own end.
Unnecessary roughness. Rudess. Laval. Tansberge. 15 yards. First down.
That puts Laval in their own 1.
This is a huge penalty because of where it went out of bounds at the 16. It allowed them to back it up the full 15 yards. Had it been within the 15-yard, they only would have done half the distance. So there's a big penalty advantage for Western.
In the shotgun, Richard hands it off. Alarie Tardif powers his way close to the 8-yard line. So there's a little breathing room, but you got to move these sticks, otherwise you're handing Western great field position with the wind at your back.
So they did what they wanted on first down. They got a pretty healthy gain of 7 yards, and this is kind of how the methodical thinking approach that Glenn Constantine does. He's just trying to get out. He knows that he doesn't want to give up the football right now.
Tell by our first down line available around the 11-yard line. Hugo Richard throws, completes. Marc-Antoine Pivin has that first down. Nice play call there from Justin Itier.
Well, you know what it is? It's a simple, quick throw and a quick read for Hugo Richard. They got the go route outside release on the outside receiver, and then it's a simple speed cut. Pivin makes the catch after the first down.
Pivin had a touchdown in last year's Vanier Cup, a win over Calgary. Just his 8th reception of the postseason, first of this football game. But it gives Laval the 1st and 10. Alarie Tardif, big hole, broke 1 tackle to the 30, and he is tripped up by McNair at the 34-yard line. A pickup of 21.
So back to what we talked about earlier on is if you're going to stack the box, all you need is a crease. And if you get a crease, it's your 2nd level guys, 3rd level guys, if you're the safety, trying to come up and make the tackle. And you see how methodical in the approach they've been, starting at their 1 and now on the 35.
Well, there's one thing we know about Laval. They're not going to lose confidence, no matter what happens in an opening quarter. Christopher Amoa dragged down at the 39-yard line, a gain of 4. So after 33 yards on their opening drive, they have picked up 39 here. Excuse me, in the opening quarter, they have picked up 39 on their opening drive of the 2nd quarter.
And they needed it. Based on field position where they were, they have to move the ball down the field. They've done it in a very kind of working-like way.
Well, we are in Hamilton. Bring your lunch bucket or don't come at all. Richard, wide side out. Breton Robert close to another. Rougeor 1st down. And this is the guy they're going to throw the rock to.
For sure, because he's going to work himself to get open. So here's a nice long throw by Richard. He's going there the whole way. They run quick slant routes by the outside receivers. Breton Robert just does a simple out cut, and he gains depth as he goes all the way to get that 1st down.
So 2nd catch of the football game for Jonathan Breton Robert. And what was once a drive starting on their 1-yard line, now out to the 45. Amoa played his high school football in Toronto at Upper Canada College. Lost one. In fact, played a couple times against Chris Merchant, who was at St. Andrews in the private school league.
2 great competitors meeting on the main stage here today in Hamilton, and couldn't ask for a better play there for the Mustang defense as they took all the gaps away and loss of 1 on the play for Amoa.
Laval working with the wind at their backs here in the 2nd quarter, staring at a 2nd and 10. It is complete again, Pivin, and again a 1st down. Call the game 12 for Marc-Antoine Pivin.
Here we go. This is what happens. We see it time and time again. They're just tried and true. They're going to go through their systems, all their reads. Nice toss to Pivin, but if you take a look at the right-hand side of your screen, Amoa was wide open down the sidelines.
Breton Robert, wide receiver screen, covered well. Craig Hirschenberger, the 1st one there for the Western Mustangs.
The ball looked to come out, but it was late after the whistle had gone. So if you're able to limit Laval to 2nd and long, you've done your job. They've been able to convert on those plays. Let's think about what happens with these backs coming to the backfield. Amoa, like I mentioned, is running wide open on one of those plays. They will come back to that at some point.
Western showing some pressure. 3 down linemen. The linebackers look like they might come. They do come. Picked up, stepping up in the pocket, and delivering the football was Richard, right through the hands of Alex Savard, his big slot back, 6'5", 242, but he just couldn't hang on to the pigskin.
Couldn't hang on. I thought Hinchberger had a chance to pick number 13. Great look at it right here. Little tug. That's his shot. Go for the ball. Just a tad bit late, but enough to disrupt the catch by Savard. Take a look at the block here. Amoa gets lit up, but does his job. That's all you need him to do. Keep your quarterback clean.
That's the one in films. Well, some guys might gasp. Coaches love it. That was Sopik coming in. Kicking wide side is Levesque. And this one will spiral out of bounds around the 30-yard line. Chris Merchant and the Mustangs get the ball back, leading by 8 here in the 2nd quarter of the 53rd Vanier Cup. Here in Hamilton, the Western Mustangs lead the 53rd Vanier Cup 8-0 with 9:17 remaining in the second quarter. And despite the fact that Laval punted, Mike, a 56-yard drive when you are backed up to your 1, down 8 points, can really win field position for you if you're playing the long game. Alex Taylor, the ball carry. 4, maybe 5 on first down.
Yeah, to your point, Tim, I think they accomplished exactly what they wanted to. I mean, albeit they wanted some points on the board, but they did win that battle being backed up at the 1. Now it's up to Western to take their turn and try and gain some of that field position back. And really, it's playing out like a bit of a chess match here today.
Yeah. Weren't sure if it was going to be a shootout or a slugfest. Early going, we got a slugfest. Merchant over the middle and completes to the 52-yard line. That's Harry McMaster making his first catch of the football game and picking up 18 yards.
Yeah, McMaster's going to come from the left-hand side of your, right-hand side of your screen across the middle of the field. Nice job there, catching the ball, getting the first down. Westerns, you feel like they're getting very comfortable in playing in this game, and not the least bit surprised by what Laval's done.
Taylor again, the ball carry, spinning before being taken down by Edouard Gaudin. Gain of 6, maybe 7 on first down as the Western offense gets rolling. And Mike, are they getting better as the season goes on? Who would have thought after 48 points to lead the nation in the regular season? But these are, as I said earlier, video game numbers.
Yeah, when you're averaging over 55 come playoff time, you're kind of hitting your stride.
Looks like they're in for a tight one, though, today. Scored in their first drive of the football game. Only picked up 1 point since. Cedric Joseph, the Montreal native, a first down to the Laval 41-yard line. A 12-yard gain.
Oh, you got to give a bit of a shout out here for the Western Mustang and that offensive line, because they're pushing people around. David Brown, Bouchard, Wheatley, Betancourt, and Giffen all doing a tremendous job in solidifying that line, giving Merchant time to throw the football when he wanted to throw, and getting the creases for both Taylor and Joseph on the ground.
Starting to see the Mustangs run, and they have the last 2 games over 400 yards rushing in each game. Joseph limited here on first down. I mean, it got so bad against Acadia, Mike. Their 4th string running back, Trey Humes, ran for 175 yards against the Axemen.
You know, a career day for your first stringer any day when your 4th string's in there. So Greg Marshall, this is this is the way he likes to have his offense run. So he's got to feel pretty comfortable in the way things are playing out right now early.
Working into the wind, staring down a 2nd and 8. Merchant with pressure coming, has time and delivers. McMaster on the run and almost escaped, but dragged down by Gagnon at the 25-yard line. Good for another Western first down.
You know, a very similar type play. McMaster comes from the field again, keeps going. You know what happens if you're in chase, you're too late. Comes up the field, feels it out. Got pressure on the backside, but keeps coming for his quarterback, and that's a nice first down.
2 receptions, 31 yards on this drive for McMaster. Joseph, he'll pick up 9. So all they need is the first possession of a quarter, apparently, to move the rock.
And they're doing it with ease. You really don't see this happen to Laval often at all. There's a point where, generally speaking, Laval's a bigger team, but they're getting pushed back.
That offensive line has been creating holes for this offense all year long in the OUA. Merchant has a first down at around the 12-yard line of the Laval Rouge et Or.
Constantin is still not in a position where I don't think he feels comfortable feeling out Western. He knows what they do. He knows they score a lot of points. He hasn't been able to stop them.
Both head coaches, Greg Marshall, offensive guy, Glenn Constantin, defensive guy, and you've seen that in their teams over the years. Joseph on the right hip of Merchant, gets the ball carried. Cedric Joseph dancing, touchdown, Western. his 11th rushing touchdown of the postseason, and the Mustangs have a 14-0 lead pending the extra point.
And you can't teach this right here. This little jump step inside, back to the outside. That's all Cedric Joseph. He is untouched into the end zone.
Cedric's dad, Derek, went to Seja with Glenn Constantine. Thought he might have got him, but instead he went to Western and scores the second major of this, the 53rd Vanier Cup. 9 plays, 82 yards, and the Mustangs lead by 15 here in the second quarter. Cedric Joseph, the junior out of Montreal, 22 touchdowns, including the postseason, and he does it on that drive, Mike.
Is that a typo? Because that's obnoxious. 22 touchdowns. And, you know, he's not even always the primary back. He's been great out of the backfield. He's been great with the tough yardage, and he's been able to get the little crease and go. Little sidestep, that little back step with the right leg there, something special.
Hummingbird-like from Cedric Joseph. Said he wanted to study in English, and Glenn Constantine said, yeah, get out of the province, please. And here in the 53rd Vanier Cup, as Dufour takes it to the 31-yard line, it's Cedric Joseph who's made it a 15-0 Western lead. We have 5:44 remaining in our opening half.
Well, Hugo Richard may be the reigning Vanier Cup MVP, but he joked with me that he's actually not the athlete of the family. It's his sister, Geneviève, who's the goalkeeper for Olympique de Marseille. She is like a role model to him. She helps him with everything, preparation, staying mentally fit, including the stresses that come with their respective sports. He said that the best advice that she's ever given him is to live in the moment, not worry about tomorrow. So I asked him, is he going to enjoy this moment, his second Vanier Cup appearance? He said it all changed for him at the Dunsmore Cup in Quebec City. 18,000 screaming fans cheering, and he said that he, instead of having that laser focus he usually does out of the tunnel, took a moment to enjoy it. Now his team is down, guys. I hope he's enjoying this moment today.
Well, they were down 14-0 last year to the Calgary Dinos, and he was able to stay, as you saw, cool, calm, and collected. Completes a pass to Gingras Gagnon, but the gain is limited as Bleska Kabamba makes the tackle immediately.
Yeah, Kabamba, not only does he make the stick, but is smart enough to wrap up the leg as well and limit that gain to just the catch alone.
Richard again. I know this wind swirls here in Hamilton, but they're working with the wind at their back. Go to the air. Savard dropped it again. Took a pop. Philippe Dion is going to be flagged for that pop on Savard.
And Greg Marshall's not going to be too happy about it. The ball came out hot. Hugo Richard really threw it, made it difficult for Savard. It's right here after. Tough to say. Savard dips to go down after the ball, and any contact. Yep.
Any shot to the head in U Sports play is supposed to be flagged, but you're right, it's just hard.
Rudess, unnecessary roughness. Western number 45, 45. Contact avec la tête, head contact, 15 verges, 15 yards, first down.
I believe it was 44, Philippe Dion. But any blow to the head is supposed to be flagged in U Sports play. It's a big penalty. It's 1st and 10. Richard looking to take advantage, tried the pump fake, and then just had to take what he could get, which was a yard. And again, Philippe Dion out of Blainville, Quebec, and Champlain College on the tackle.
You know, it's easy to get discouraged when you get a call against you that you're not necessarily agree with, or you don't necessarily agree with. But Dion there comes up. The very next play limits the gain to 1. That's what you want to do out of your defense.
Surprised that Laval's been shut out thus far?
I am. They're certainly, Western is a great opponent. Match up quite well.
Show blitz. Will they remain in blitz? No, they drop off. Richard to throw. Breton Robert. Special players make special plays on special days, and that might just be a short reception, Mikey, but it's Breton Robert moving those sticks.
Yeah, my best kind of comparison to Breton Robert is a guy like Luke Tasker, because he's able to make cuts at full speed, and Andy, you know, he can appreciate that. He just finds a way to get open. Not the most imposing guy, but finds a way to find the crease.
Richard hit and dropped at the 50-yard line. The Mustangs get there. Andrew Thurston busting through.
This defense for Western is just, they are so poised. We'll take a look at the stop, or at the top of the screen. Thurston inside move, great setup. Just the way he set Lefebvre up to the outside and dipped back inside, and he has a clean shot on Richard, who had no chance.
Laval has been struggling with their tackles, but another in the long line of DNs from Western. Xander Robinson, David Lee, to name a few. And on second down, 4 receivers to the bottom of your screen. Richard back to the top of your screen and completes for the first down. This time Savard is able to hang on. A gain of 14 and a flag.
Oh, just a dumb play by Savard. Yeah, but you caught the football, go back to the huddle. No need to lay into your defender. That'll back you up 15. But Hugo Richard stays in the pocket, poised. Savard does a nice job catching the football. It's the stuff after the fact.
Yeah, he was chirping.
Right there.
Little shoulder, little point.
And that'll cost you 15. So much for the gain. The only lucky thing is it comes after the first down.
Objectionable
conduct. Get up here.
Conduite anti-sportif. Laval, numero 24, number 24. Automatic first down. Back 10 yards, first down Laval.
And that brings us to the 3-minute warning. Western by 15 here in the 53rd Vanier Cup.
Brad Fay back at Tim Hortons Field. The Trues will entertain us coming up at halftime. We'll hear from Andy Beckler, Andy Fantuz, and Steph Potasic, who we hear from now as we head towards the half. Steph, what do you got?
I think Laval has the mystique that is their program. Western has gotten through that. Everything you want to check off in that first half, Western has done. Their special teams have been in position all day, covering kicks. Merchant has had plenty of time in the pocket, and their front seven is stopping the run and getting a little pressure on Richard without having to blitz.
They're starting to believe on the Western side. A long way to go as Laval drives late in the first half. Back to Tim and Mike.
From the 46, first and 10. Pivet is blown up, another flag. McNair and Pivet is hurt. Jesse McNair delivered the blow, and if there is intent, a player who targets the head can be ejected from the football game. In fact, Kevin McGee, the starting safety for the Laval Rouge et Or, is out on a 3-game suspension for a headshot in the Dunsmore Cup. So the crew, led by Greg McLean, is going to talk this one over.
Yeah, and we didn't get a chance to see whether it's direct head-to-head contact, but certainly Pavan took the brunt of that, and more often than not, what happens is after you take the hit, it's your head hitting the ground that really kind of stuns you more than anything. Get a look at him as they're just checking the neck, and we'll get a chance to see the shot here. McNair's job is to come up, attack the football, number 8, center your screen. Ball goes over. It was shoulder, but it caught the face mask, caught the helmet. I don't suggest for a minute he's headhunting.
Rudess, unnecessary roughness, Western. 15-yard penalty, Cangeverge, Vanier.
It looked like he got shoulder into the face mask and head. And it's so tough to line that up as a player. We all understand that. And it's what they're trying to get out of the game so we don't have scenes like this where Pivin is helped off the field.
Yeah,
the crowd doesn't like it.
Crowd doesn't like it. Greg won't like it because this is twice on the same drive. It's 30 yards and penalties for headshots, but that's what happened both times. The Laval player was hit in the head, and that's the rule. It's for safety.
But they got it right too. Wasn't ejected, and
that's
sometimes
right.
in those spots when you see a guy hurt, your immediate thought is maybe we move on, maybe we give the ejection call. But I don't think that was warranted in that spot. Amoa, the ball carrier, dances to the outside and is dropped by Sopik after a gain of maybe 5 yards.
Amoa really has not done anything to break away a run here. That defense for the Mustangs has stopped him short most of the day today.
Is it hard for a team that gives up 30 yards on questionable calls, at least in their mind, when you've done so well on defense to this point?
You have to have a clean slate. You got to get it out. I mean, it's frustrating, no doubt, but you got to clean the slate and start again.
That's the mental toughness. Call it 2nd and 7. Richard going deep to the end zone. Got a man. Touchdown, Laval. Benoit Gagnon-Brousseau gets Laval on the board.
This is what Laval does. You're going to make mistakes, whether it's penalties or what have you. They're going to take complete control of a football game. Hugo Richard gets pressured here on this and makes a terrific throw to Gagnon-Brousseau. We'll see the pressure up front. Hugo Richard still hangs in there, throws a beautiful ball. The fact that Brousseau got in behind, they're going to have some talking to do in that defensive backfield for Western.
Gagnon-Brousseau, his 3rd touchdown in 4 postseason games. He had just 1 in the regular season.
So definitely a situation where Western blue coverage, bottom of your screen, 3 receivers coming out. Brousseau, simple, runs a simple go route. The only problem is the cornerback Ferguson jumps the flat. That leaves Brousseau wide open into the end zone.
10 plays, 78 yards, but 30 of those yards coming on unnecessary roughness penalties, and we go back to a 2nd down, and Philippe Dion drawing a flag. You feel as though you could mark that one down and see how Western will respond, because they let him off the mat with that one.
You just cannot let them off the hook, whether you make your own mistakes or sometimes things happen in a football game that are out of your control. Both of those times, both those penalties are full speed plays that just go the wrong way based on the letter of the law, and that's the way it is. And you have to regroup. If you don't regroup, you get points scored on you.
Longest play from scrimmage in the game for Laval goes for the touchdown, and we have a 15-7 game. Expected nothing less from numbers 1 and 2 in the nation. David Cote. See if this bounces out of bounds. Sinanis decides to try and return it. Flag down, and so is he at the 19-yard line. Thought he might try and see if that would hop out of bounds there.
That would have been the smart call, depending on how the ball was bouncing. This flag here, unfortunately, will most likely go against the Mustangs and now back them up. So this is what Laval does. They take it from their 1. They get field position. They stop Western. The Western takes it back, kicks it to them. They take better field position. They get the ability to get a couple penalties on their side. They move the additional 30 yards. They strike, they score. Now they back Western up again. It's the chess match.
Western, blocage illégal. Moitié de la distance, half the distance. 1st down.
Few words in the silence of Greg Marshall.
Yeah, so if you're Greg Marshall here, your whole goal is get out from the shadow of my goalpost. Never mind what's happening 100 yards away. Just get out. Use the clock. If you're going to give the ball back to them, make sure it's in their end.
As Laval did to start the 2nd quarter. Taylor straight up the middle, out to the 15-yard line. A gain of 7 on 1st down.
Good 1st down run. 7 yards anytime when you're backed up deep like that. Any coach will take it.
sets up the 2nd and short. And for Western, it's a running play, whether it's 2nd and 8 or it's 2nd and 3.
10 carries, now 70 yards for Alex Taylor. Mike mentioned it's a big 2nd and 3. Give it to their all-Canadian back, and he was caught behind the line of scrimmage. A little dance, and he may have picked up the first down.
That's when you have confidence in your own abilities, is when you can stop on a dime behind the line, knowing you need 3 yards, and then reset and gain the first down. So that's exactly what Western was hoping to do.
Under 2 minutes remaining, opening half. Greg Marshall's always had a stable with the Mustangs. This might be his best 4 backs. Taylor, Joseph, Haru, and Humes. Handed off again. Kian Harry Limana on the tackle for the Rouge et Or. Minimal gain there, 2, maybe 3.
And they're in a position now that they don't have to rush the game. They can take control of the time on the clock, 1:34 to go. You can be a bit more patient, because ultimately, like I said, what you want to do is just get another first down, take the time, and get out of this half.
On 2nd down, Merchant pulls it out, throws deep down the sidelines, got a man. McMaster's got the ball into Laval territory at the 36-yard line. A pickup of 52.
So did I say be patient or just throw a strike down the side? I mean, whatever works.
6 1/2 dozen.
Tremendous play. Play action really sucks up the linebackers. You get the one-on-one matchup by McMaster on the outside. That's exactly what you want in a very well-thrown football.
McMaster working on Frederic Gagnon and a first down. Here's Cedric Joseph powering forward to the 30-yard line. Close to 5 on first down as we near the 1-minute mark here in the first half.
If you want a great indication of how good these football teams are, take a look at what they did when they're backed up in their own end. Laval did that with them, drove the length of the field. Western backed up deep, not a lot of time on the clock, in a bad situation, and now they're driving with the potential for, an opportunity to hit for 3, if not more.
Great point, Mike. You're on 2nd. Merchant keeps, and Merchant is hit by Christophe Gagné. He may have picked up the first down on the spin.
I'm impressed with the way Merchant is attacking on his running plays. I mean, he's not willing to go down. Spun there for really close to first down.
Greg McLean looking at it, and he's going to ask for a measurement.
It's going to be slightly short, but okay, here's the Riverboat Gambler. What they're going to do. We'll take a look at what they've been able to do against the top guy in the country, Matthew Betts. It's just they're making him think. They're making him move. They're putting a body on a body, and if he's making a play, let him make it down the field 3 or 4 yards. They're just slightly short.
What do you do?
Oh, you go all day long.
You got one of the most accurate kickers in the nation.
You do, but he can wait. Let him wait.
Got a feeling 18's not going to win this game.
No. But it's proven to be a tight match. It's not going to be, an average of 55 either.
3rd and inches for the Mustangs. Merchant keeps and has. So the 6'3", 215-pound quarterback just shoves his way forward. And the Riverboat Gambler wants a timeout to discuss what they'll do with 35 seconds left in the clock.
Yeah, the beauty of this, there's a ton of time on the clock. 35 seconds with a timeout gives you plenty of time to set up your offense. Look at the surge up front. All those guys, the backs, the fullbacks that come in to help, the receivers, everybody's been participating on offense and moving the football. Glenn Constantin is still, he's unflappable. But at the same time, he's got to be a big concern that they haven't figured out how to stop Western.
Well, they've been running wild all playoff long. In fact, you look at the numbers in the postseason. Against Guelph, a good defense in the OUA. 246 and 6 touchdowns. Then they kicked it up a notch against Laurier. And kicked it
up a notch. these aren't total offense. This is like just rushing. It really is. It's hard to believe. I think being able to watch it live against, you know, the best defense in the country, it proves a point how good they are.
The 20 rushing touchdowns in those 3 games would have led the nation in the regular season. They have 149 yards on the ground so far this game. It's Chris Merchant and the new offensive coordinator Steve Snyder talk things over. A change from last year. They bring in a new offensive coordinator from St. FX. Greg Marshall gives up the play calling, still his offense, but Snyder calling the plays. Let's see what he dials up here. 1st and 10. Mustangs working with a 15-7 lead. Merchant back, has time, flushed out, flag down. Merchant 15-10, and will slide near the 11, but again a flag on the turf at the 30-yard line.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be holding against Western. I'm not too sure who it is. I first guess it was Betancourt, number 62. Hopefully we get a look at it here to see what happens, but this will be backing them up, which now takes them, you know, pretty close to being out of field goal range.
Holding, retenue, Western, number 62, 62, 10 yards, répète premier essai. First down repeated.
Good call there, Mike.
And it's on Desjardins, the defensive lineman, but Betancourt got caught, left hand on the inside.
Desjardins, real 2-time Quebec All-Star at defensive tackle. Caused havoc last week in Calgary. Now, tough spot for the Mustangs. Merchant with pressure in his face, delivers deep, looking for the corner of the end zone and McMaster, but it falls incomplete. It'll be 2nd down.
Yeah, McMaster just couldn't get back to the football. It hung up just a bit, so he couldn't plant his foot. He kind of, as you look back as a receiver, sometimes you tend to fade away from the football. And that's what happened on that play, as Merchant now faces a 2nd and 20 situation. And really at this point here, I'm not too sure if it's just try and get better field position for your place kicker.
It would be a 41-yard field goal from this spot into the wind. Merchant steps up in the pocket, breaks the tackle at the 30, and is dragged down at the 20-yard line by Matthew Betts. Still about 5 yards short of the 1st down after a pickup of 15.
And that's totally okay if you're the Western offense. You want to get this game back to a 2-score differential. Right now it's 8 points, so chance for Laval to get a touchdown and a 2-point convert. This field goal will make it a true 2-score game.
Mark Leggio comes out, hit 91% of his field goals this year, which made him a 2nd-team All-Canadian as the place kicker. He'll attempt from 27 yards away. Slight breeze in his face. And we have whistles and what looks like a timeout. They work on Chris Merchant on the sidelines. He's taking a few shots.
That's it. I mean, he's taken some in the pocket, but he's taken more as he used his legs down the field. And I think that's the, you know, whether it's a hip flexor or it's the, you know, something to do with, you know, his ribs. You just don't want it to affect the throwing motion. So he's going to get a bit of a reprieve here as they're going to go to the locker room. But certainly he's not feeling the best right now. You can tell by the look on his face. Take a look at it here. Betts comes from behind, and that's a lot of guy landed on top of you, and he's taken a few shots today. So cumulatively, these things add up.
Yeah, that's first one was 6'3", 250 on him, and then there's the Quebec Conference Rookie of the Year, Kian Harry Limana. But Leggio attempting from 27. To give Western an 11-point lead. The kick is up, and he missed it. Wide left. His 4th miss of the postseason after missing just 3 in the regular season. And because of it, we will go to halftime with the Western Mustangs leading 16-7. A rare miss from Mark Leggio.
A rare miss, and something you don't want to give any sort of false hope to Laval. You want to get as many points as you can. It's still a 2-point or 2-score game, but boy, they're making it close.
Let's go down to the sidelines. Nicky Reyes standing by with Greg Marshall.
Coach, you talked about your team coming out here and getting to a fast start. What did you like about what they did here in the first half?
You know what? We've controlled line of scrimmage. Laval's great defense. I thought we knocked them off the ball a little bit and created some running lanes for our running backs. We just got to be a little bit more consistent. We just took way too many penalties in that first half.
You can never count out this Laval team. For a team like yours that has never been tested in the second half, Coach, what do you want to see from your team?
A little bit more discipline. We talked about it before the game, but we got to be careful. Those penalties on defense at extended drives, you can't do that in the second half against a good football team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is just the third time in the last 2 seasons the Laval Rouge-et-Or have trailed at halftime. They are 2-0 in the previous 2. Can they do it again? We'll see in the second half. The Trues are up next. Merchant the keeper. Merchant. Touchdown, Western. Cedric Joseph dancing. Touchdown, Western. Richard going deep to the end zone. Got him in. Touchdown, Laval.
Back at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton at halftime of the 53rd Vanier Cup. Western with a 16-7 lead. They are well past the halfway mark to that 310 yards per game rushing that they average. That's been a bit of a surprise that they've been able to move the ball like they have against the defending champions from Laval. I'm Brad Fay with Andy Beckler, Steph Patasic, and Andy Fantuz getting set for the second half. And Steph, we talked in the pregame about the rest versus rust factor. And Western had not been challenged in the playoffs, and we thought now they suddenly get in against the defending champs and the best team they played all year. But the first drive showed that they were ready to go.
No question. Tim said it right off the top of the telecast. They haven't been stopped once on their first drive all year. And second play of the game, 2nd and 9. You think that's all going to come crashing down. Reed breaks down. He's in the pocket. He has to pull it down. And instead of a 2-and-out and the mystique all gone on that Western offense, he grinds out this first down. A couple plays later, he's going toe-to-toe with a linebacker and knocking him on his butt. And then he caps the drive off with the 12-yard rushing touchdown. The mystique is alive, and the Western offense announces their presence.
8 carries for 52 yards for the quarterback on the ground. Andy Fantuz, in the pregame you talked about that we'll see play action all the time from Western. The second touchdown drive for them, it was evident.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen a bit more drop back than I was expecting, but you can see when you're having so much success running the ball, what the effect has on the linebackers when you fake the run and do the pass. This is textbook play action here. He fakes the ball to the running back, and here you can see all 3 linebackers get sucked up to play the run, and he can make the fairly easy throw to McMaster on the crossing route there for a big gain. And then here you can see they have both running backs in the game at the same time. They have Alex Taylor split out wide. When he comes across the field, it forces the defensive end and the defensive tackle to take an outside rush, which allows Cedric Joseph to cut inside and then make a fantastic single effort to get in the end zone.
In this run for Laval, Andy, it's been traditionally to see them start a little bit slow, maybe feel it out. What did you see on their touchdown drive to get them back in it?
Well, Hugo Richard, when he's had time, he's got 2 sacks in the first half. He's looked comfortable when he's had time throwing the ball, so that's promising for Laval. And one of the biggest concerns for Western, I think, early on is, we've talked about Western being healthy all year, but they are banged up a little bit in the secondary, and they're missing a key player in their boundary corner, Hakeem Johnson, who's an all-star caliber player. You can't really see it on these looks, but you see the receiver for Laval coming wide open late. That's a miscommunication on the back end for Western, and those are mistakes that are prone to happen when you have new bodies filling in, so something to keep an eye on in the second half for Western.
Here's something to keep an eye on, Steph Patasic. Laval is no stranger to being down at the half. Only in 2011 did they not win, even though they came back and forced overtime against you guys. So You won't say they have Western where they want them, but they're certainly not uncomfortable with where they are.
No, it's a tribute to Coach Constantine and his staff. They make great halftime adjustments, and most importantly, their student athletes stay the course. They don't change their game plan. They are who they are, and they'll pick up where they left off in the first half. This has felt a little different, though. Western struggled early. We're getting 2 or 3 yards of play. As the half rolled on, Western was opening up 7, 8 yards of play. It's a different feel than some of those scores you see on that board.
Yeah, for sure, especially when Joseph still looks fresh, and Taylor is about, we thought maybe be 60-40 in terms of carries for Joseph, but Taylor with 11, so it's been split. They both look good.
Second half is on the way from Hamilton. To go back-to-back, Glenn Constantine's club will have to come back from a 16-7 halftime deficit. The Laval coach is standing by with Nikki Reyes.
Coach, what kind of challenges did Western present in the first half to limit your team?
You know, they're very efficient on offense. They run the ball very well, and when we do stop the run, they convert with the overs and over-under routes and stuff. So we need to be more astute on defense and make sure that we get off the field on second down, and you know, and then on offense we need to sustain drives.
We've seen the resiliency and composure of this team playing from behind. What was your message to them at that for the second half?
Basically the same thing as usual. We dug ourselves a hole. We can't play very much anymore. So the best is yet to come for us, and we're going to. I appeal to their character and their pride.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Nikki, with that, we are set for the second half from Tim Hortons Field. The 53rd Vanier Cup presses on with Tim McAuliffe and Mike Moriali.
Thank you, gentlemen. Michael, most surprising thing about that first half for you?
I think the way that Western just played the regular style of offense that they planned, and they were successful doing it. They didn't have to show much, do much different. Probably more impressive is the play of their defense, though, really. Because they were seemingly overmatched from a size and weight perspective, you didn't notice it whatsoever on the field.
So Western will kick off to begin our second half with Leggio, who missed a field goal, 27-yarder to end our first half. Laval won the toss, deferred, so they choose the ball and the wind here in the third quarter, or at least the way the wind is blowing right now. DeFore had trouble taking that in, and he goes down at the 10-yard line. Ellis on the tackle.
Yeah, so a little bit further on that discussion about why they deferred. Obviously, great decision to defer. You want to get the wind. If you wait to take the wind in the fourth quarter and you're already down 9, the way that Western's been playing, you can't afford to get down anymore. He says, Glenn Constantine says, let's just get the ball. We'll get the wind as well, which is a bonus, and we'll try and score now. We'll worry about the wind later on. Hopefully we're up at that time.
Coach Constantine said that the coin toss was going to be an important play, and this is where it comes in to play. Hugo Richard and the Laval Rouge et Or offense begin 1st and 10 from their own 10-yard line to begin our second half. Vincent Allery-Tardy met in the hole and driven back. That is Jean-Gabe Poulain.
And one of the things about this stadium, Tim, and ever since they rotated at 180 degrees, is you're going to get a lot of wind that comes off the mountain from the south. That's what we're seeing here today, and it's a low wind, and it just gusts and rips through. You may not see it occasionally on the top of the goalpost, but down low you'll feel it.
On 2nd and 9, Richard flushed out of the pocket, and he is surrounded at the 15 and goes down. He'll be short of the first down, but Poulain also slow to get up. He is the Western 2-time All-Canadian at middle linebacker.
With force up front, pressure again, which gets Richard to have to move his feet and get out. Poulain gets just nipped in the head lately, but he gets off under his own steam, which is good. So, Tim, the start that Western wanted, for sure. There's no way that Glenn Constantine wanted to take the ball in the wind in the third. He was forced to do it because he's down 9. He would have preferred to wait till the 4th. Now they go 2 and out. This is a huge victory right now for Western.
Levesque into punt. He won a lot of field position battles last week against Calgary with his leg. See what he can do here. Good kick, but room for Sinanis. Midfield, oh, and a great tackle. Just got a hand on the jersey, did Dubois. And because of it, Sinanis may have lost a yard. I think he got the t-shirt underneath the jersey.
He did, almost ripped it off. Probably would have been better if he did for Sinanis. But that's a great play, pretty decent punt, and then a nice downfield tackle by Dubois. At least limits, no return to maybe a loss of a couple, but they still are inside Laval territory to start this drive.
So Chris Merchant, 7 of 12 for 146 yards in that first half. Does begin their first possession of the second half inside Laval territory. This is Alex Taylor, speaking of all Canadians. Close to 8 yards on first down for the senior from Winnipeg, St. Paul's.
Alex Taylor was one tackle away, excuse me, of going quite a bit further. Godin with the arm tackle to bring him down.
Western offense going with some pace here in the third. Again, Taylor to the outside. Was strung out well. Looked like he might be able to pick up more than the 4 that he did, but either way, it is a Mustangs first down.
Yeah, accomplished exactly what he wanted to there. Taylor gets the first down, was trying to kind of dipsy-doodle to see if he can get more. He comes off the field, Joseph into the football game, and both running backs at this point have done a nice job running the ball.
Latest in a long, we could call this running back U. Tyler Varga, Nathan Riva, Sam Vito take it back. Greg Marshall, Blake Marshall, Tyndale, Dwayne Ford. Play action, wide open over the middle and dropped by McMaster, who is counting the steps to the end zone. Merchant rushed just a little bit, and he threw it behind the intended receiver.
Yeah, play action fake again. Merchant really, it's just all touch. Sometimes they're the toughest. It's a catchable football, don't get me wrong, but it is thrown a little bit behind, and Merchant hits the ground. He's been struggling a bit with that side, and you see his hand on the left
side
hip.
Yeah, he is a little tender on that left hip. And a 2nd and 10 now. Straight back, pressure comes, delivers, and finds his man Majaro instead of the 10-yard line. Cole Majaros with a couple big catches, and Western has it. First down, goal to go from the 10.
And Merchant is getting roughed up, but hanging in the pocket once again in the backfield. Godin and Betts, they sandwich him, but not before he gets a great throw to Majaros, who's had a couple big catches today.
32-yard pickup. Joseph. He's got a nose to the end zone, but he's down at the 6.
Well, he's only scored, what, 22 touchdowns?
22.
My goodness.
11 in this, his 4th postseason game.
So a tremendous drive here. Western's really done a great job at countering what Laval has done. They force them to punt on the 2 and out. Now get field position. Now they're setting up for a score.
Joseph cuts it outside. Touchdown Western. Make it 23 for 21.
You take a look at Merchant here. He's hobbling off the field. Cedric Joseph makes it look easy. Doesn't get touched. The big boys up front. Oh, what a seal block on Betts. Tremendous play. You want to eliminate the #1 defender on the football field. You do what you just did there. You'd get a nice pulling guard with a seal block. Tremendous job.
Tack on the extra point, and Western 54 yards in just 6 plays as they begin the half with another score and lead it 23-7. Thanks in part to Chris Merchant, who is taking a licking, but he's keep on ticking.
Well, there's no doubt about it. He's played like a man possessed here. He's put his head down. He's ran with the football. He's hung in the pocket. We see him clutching the left hip. That was at the end of the half, but bounces back, didn't slow them down whatsoever. Cedric Joseph untouched into the end zone.
made a mention of how they had scored on their opening possession in all 12 games now this year. How about this? Western's first possession in all 3 quarters of this football game, Mike, have resulted in majors.
Yeah, they're definitely for real. They are doing exactly what they need to do against a really good football team and trying to take them out of it.
This guy's always dangerous. Dufour from his 15, and he is tripped up. That was Fraser Sopik, the all-star in the OUA as both a special teamer and linebacker. You saw both of those abilities there.
You certainly did. So there's a game when you watch a football game as, I guess, a football player, you kind of get the chance to really appreciate what happens between the lines, you know, and especially on special teams, because if guys like that are hustling and getting after guys, that tells you something about the mentality of the Western Mustangs. It's tough. If you're moving 100 miles an hour all the time, you're ready to play.
Well, Western scores into the win here in the 3rd quarter, but never count out Laval. Hugo Richard lowers his shoulder to get to the 25-yard line, a pickup of 3 on first down.
And again, Sopik makes the big play on specials, comes back and wraps up Richard on that scramble. They went to the double tight end set. Sopik on the bottom of your screen. You're going to see Richard get scrambled out of the pocket. Nice lick to bring him down.
Sopik, the junior out of Aurora and St. Andrews. Richard now staring down a 2nd and 8. Looking left, throwing left, and it is knocked away. Good play on the corner by Jordan Beaulieu to take it away from Gagnon Brousseau.
Really, Beaulieu, he just has to be around the football. You just got to do whatever you can, stick your arm in there, knock the ball away. But the most important thing is to be beside the receiver as the ball's heading that way, and he was, and knocked it away.
So Levesque into punt. Given the history of Laval, you just keep expecting them to put something together. But Western's defense, who probably got the least amount of ink heading into this game, have been fabulous. The punt goes out of bounds at the 50-yard line. Just a 25-yard kick from Levesque. And see the face of Constantine. Consternation.
He's got to be concerned because this is not going according to plan. The plan was get the football, score early and often in the 3rd, go into the 4th with a lead. What's happened is they've gone 2 and outs, given the ball back, and given up another 7 points.
An injury update from the sidelines, and Laval's lost 3 players as Taylor goes right up the middle. Picked up 6 on first down. Louis-Philippe Saint-Amand won't return. Marc-Antoine Pivin, a big loss at receiver, will not return. And so will Alexandre Savard remain on the sidelines.
Well, it's definitely a big blow. They are deep and they have a ton of depth, but anytime you lose starters, you have to make some changes and shuffle the lineup.
Pivin could be a big blow to this team. Nice play there by Desjardins, who found himself in the backfield and forces a 3rd down. Another of the Notre Dame de Foix alumni on this Laval team.
See some of the injured guys on the sideline still trying to participate. But that time, Desjardins, you're right, shoots the gap, gets into the backfield, and stops this momentum-building drive of the Mustangs and forces the punt.
So Leggio, the average is nice, over 48, with a long of 65. From midfield is where he put his foot to the ball. It'll bounce to the 10-yard line and steps out of bounds at the 16. So Laval will begin from their own 16, trailing 23-7 with 8:26 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Join Ron and Tara Sloan in Oakville, Ontario, Ron's new home for Rogers Hometown Hockey as the Canucks battle the Rangers Sunday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, a little early tomorrow. On Sportsnet right after that, Milan Lucic hopes to recharge the Oilers as he returns to Boston against the Bruins. It's Rogers Oilers hockey tomorrow on Sportsnet. Here in Hamilton, the Western Mustangs surprising a few people, including the #1 team in the nation, as they lead 23-7. Just over 8 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Hugo Richard is drilled in the backfield. Ball popped loose. They will say he was down. Nick Vanier, the med student, found his way to the backfield.
Oh, did he ever? His initial job was to check the back coming out of the back, which he does, gets a little chip, and then he's got a free run. He'll take that all day long.
The Rush Jackson Award winner in medical school, one of the finest linebackers in his conference. Walking through the lobby of the hotel earlier today with my fish oil, asked him if it was any good for me. He nodded. 2nd and 14 after the sack. Tipped, and it falls incomplete at the 20-yard line. Rouge-Or limited to 149 yards of offense.
Yeah, listen, they have just played, I think, all three aspects of the game very effectively. Vannon's coming in here again. He's going to get the tip. His job is to mark Hugo Richard, sit in the middle of the field, and just watch what he does. There you go. There's the tip, knocks the ball away. But really, defensively, they played tremendous. Offensively, Betts hasn't been a factor. Really, he's got some hits early, and then special teams-wise, they've held their own. They've done a tremendous job.
I wonder what they do here with Levesque standing in the end zone. Their third 2 and out of the half. And he's going to concede. This is Glenn Constantin with the wind, attempting to play the field position game, but it makes it a 25-7 Western lead.
I totally anticipated that he was going to do that because of this issue they're having with getting good field position. The only way they've been able to get it is to pin Western deep, and the only way they've been able to pin Western deep, besides, one long drive, is by punting the football. So in this case, giving up the 2, unfortunately, is a decision Constantin had to make, albeit I don't think he wanted to.
25-7 with 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter, and Cedric Joseph and this Western offense back on the field.
So this game is setting up perfectly for the offense. They've got decent field position on the 35. It's less than 7 minutes left on the clock. Against the wind, they're going to use as much time as possible. The running game's worked for them. Might as well stick with it.
So Joseph, the second leading carrier on this team. McMaster, a reception to the 50 and dragged down after a gain of 18 yards and another Western first down.
And this right here is the beauty of having an effective running game like we talked about. It opens up the pass. Play action fake in the backfield. Linebackers step up, and guess what? You're getting a one-on-one chase there with McMaster against Chenevert, and he's going to win that matchup.
Now up over 100 yards on 4 catches is Harry McMaster, the junior from Niagara Falls, Ontario. Ball pops out as Merchant was trying to pull it from the belly of Cedric Joseph. Disaster averted there for the Stangs.
This is a Laval team you don't want to make mistakes against. There's the read option. The ball pops loose, and thankfully Merchant, he's been in the game mentally the whole time, so just kind of shows how sharp he is to pick up a bit of the dropsies.
Managed to gain 1. Looking deep again for McMaster, and he can't come up with a one-handed grab. Frederic Gagnon there on the coverage.
And a good non-call, some hand fighting, but nothing that would be too blatant. He's not afraid to throw it up and Takes another shot. He's going to be sore after this football game, but if he's hoisting a cup, that's all that matters.
And you think of all the quarterbacks that have rolled through this Western program. Michael Falls leaving as the nation's all-time leading passer. Couldn't secure one. Chris Hessel couldn't secure one. Now just over 20 minutes away is Chris Merchant. Here's Dufour. From his own 20, flag goes down. He goes down at the 24-yard line. So after 3 2-and-outs, Laval will get it back and see if they can sustain a drive, trailing 25-7. Western by 18, thanks in part to Cedric Joseph, who just has a nose for the end zone.
Yeah, he adds a couple more touchdowns today to a growing number of touchdowns on the regular season and playoffs, and that's really been the difference, just the way they've controlled the football game, and then they've used play action because of the strong running game and thrown down the field.
11 touchdowns in 8 regular season games. Cedric Joseph now has 12 in 4 playoff games. So the junior from Montreal looks on as Hugo Richard and the Laval Rouge-Or try to get something going on offense, and he completes the outside. Staying in bounds is Etienne Moisin. A big gain for Laval, picking up 32.
Really, the Western defender takes a shot here, tries to go for the interception of the knockdown. It's just literally split-second difference. Beaulieu trying for the pick.
Another quick hitter, Breton Robert, broke 1 tackle and is hammered at the 49-yard line. 3, maybe 4 on first down.
So I think what we're going to start to see is a bit of change of pace here for the Laval offense. They're going to get up to the line quickly. They're going to put the ball in the air. They'll sprinkle a little bit of run in. But at this point in the ball game, you need some quick strikes.
Without Marc-Antoine Pivin, Tyrone Pierre, number 80, goes to the top of your screen. 7th on the CFL Central Scouting list. Not starting. That's the depth Laval has. They scrape him underneath and go to Breton Robert. First down and more. Sopik on the tackle, but he's down to the 36-yard line, a pickup of 13.
So what Breton Robert does is he uses the pick. You see the motion, he's smart, comes underneath, he knows he's got a pick underneath, bang route back outside, and then he's great after the catch as well.
Just makes plays. Every game you look at him and there's not much to see there. Just a little guy, 5'10", 175. But play after play, gets it in his hands again. Ran into his own man. Andrew Thurston helped bring him down. And another injury for the Laval Rouge-Or after another catch by Breton Robert.
Little bubble screen for the inside receiver Robert again. Gain of a few, and right now Brousseau gets rolled up on.
Another receiver down for the Laval Rouge-Or.
You see him go down attempting the block, and then everybody just falls into him and gets twisted up. And you're right, they can't afford to, I know they have depth, but you can't afford to lose the starters, because now communication becomes an issue between your quarterback and the receivers. They're just not used to playing together on a regular basis.
Gagnon Brousseau with the only touchdown for Laval in this football game. A 28-yard catch and run in the first half.
So you take a look at Glenn Constantine as he addresses his team on the side and says, listen, we got a chance now. Let's get back into it. We're moving the football. You know, we need to keep the momentum going. On the flip side, as Brousseau gets up, on the flip side, you look at the Western bench. It's hard to believe that the Vanier Cup has not been won by Greg Marshall in that rich history of the Mustangs, but certainly have got the 18-point lead here today, and he hopes to hang on as Laval starts to march down the football field.
So another receiver does not look good for the Laval Rouge-Or. 2nd and long. Here comes the blitz. It's picked up, and the ball is delivered close to first down yardage. Again, Etienne Moisin on the reception.
And we talked about offenses for both teams and the defense for Laval, but it's worth noting the way this defense has played for Western. They have been pretty solid all game long. We take a look at the numbers and what they've done. Second overall in scoring, first overall in total points and total yards, and they've been some force to reckon with today.
On 3rd and 1, Laval leaving the offense out there, but Laval has taken a timeout. Looks like Glenn Constantine didn't like it.
It actually gives Greg Marshall a chance to get a rotation. Stadnick comes in, another defensive lineman, to come in on short yardage. So this may have worked in the Mustang favor and gave them an opportunity to switch personnel. I just think there was some confusion for Laval, and you don't see that often.
How important is it for Laval to score, given they have the wind at their back, or at least what appears to be the wind at their back here in the 3rd?
Well, I think regardless of the win situation, they need to get on the board quickly. I mean, they're running a bit out of the daylight here. They're not used to kind of waiting until the last second. The 3rd quarter has traditionally been a quarter where when they've been behind, they've made up that difference in a hurry. Today, not so much.
On 3rd down and 1. As they continue to work on Gagnon-Rousseau, Western has brought in offensive linemen to the middle of that defensive line in an attempt to stop Hugo Richard. Nobody behind him. Sneak. Did he get it? Needed to get beyond the 26-yard line. And Greg McLean will look it over. Hugo Richard thinks he's got it.
It's going to be tight, Tim. I think they may have got it based on our line, but they're going to bring the sticks in. He was stood up pretty early. Richard, that right there, loses a bit of the forward momentum and leaves his feet. So depending on this spot, which is going to be pretty close, we'll get a better look as the sticks come out. But good pressure by that Western defense, and they got the first down just by half the football.
For me, it feels like you got to get into the end zone if you have the wind here in the 3rd quarter at least once.
No, it's imperative.
We know they can grind it out, but they can't settle for a field goal here. 1st and 10. Call it the 26. This is the deepest Laval has been outside of the 27-yard touchdown to Gagnon-Rousseau. Again, Sobek getting Hugo Richard. And there you see from Hugo Richard for the first time in this game some slumped shoulders, a little frustration with what's going on here.
They don't face this type of adversity often where they're down this much. They've been in a lot of tight football games. Richard wanted to go to Breton Robert on the corner route, but Jesse McNair jumped it. It forced him to go backside, and he had nothing.
4 receivers to the top of your screen. 1 now motions. That's Moisin to the bottom. Stays in the pass protect. Richard with time to the middle. Chadrick Henry dropped it. The sophomore pressed into service because of all the injuries at receiver. Just dropped a touchdown for Laval.
Oh, it's second to the screen, middle of the screen right here. Simple post route. The ball is very well thrown. That is a touchdown all day long. You cannot make mistakes like that, especially in the biggest game of the year.
So the sophomore will have to shake that off. David Cote will attempt a 34-yard field goal to get something out of this. And he is good. The 3 ball from 34 makes it a 25-10 ball game.
Very rare mistakes by Laval. And they had the opportunity to capitalize. Henry there runs a nice route, gets open. But again, there's no excuse here. You got to catch the football, but you're working with a different set of receivers rolling through. You got to be game ready when your number's called. If you're wearing the number 1, Timmy, you got to represent.
And you know when everyone comes over to give you daps and tap you on the back, that you're starting to feel something. Everyone's trying to do the right thing, but they're coming over for a reason. After the field goal, Western chooses to scrimmage from the 35-yard line, and they give it to Alex Taylor, spinning. Close to first down yardage.
It's going to be just slightly short, which, hey, it's not a bad position. Oh, they're going to give him the first. I was going to say, if you're slightly short, your inches gives you a free down, but this little extra spin here will give Taylor and the Mustang offense the first down.
Up over 100 yards rushing for Alex Taylor. And Western. This time Merchant will keep it. Great play fake. Had most of the Rouge et Or going the wrong way. He picked up 19 for now. There's a flag near the line of scrimmage.
Thrown by the side judge as well, so could be offside by Western. We'll get the call shortly, but Merchant again. Listen, you're going to give him that much room to run, he'll take it. And this is coming back.
Holding, retenue, Western, 58, 58. Penalty is 10 yards. 10 verges, répétez premier essai. First down repeated.
That's a center, Mark Wheatley.
And it happened as Merchant got to the outside. I was wondering why the side judge threw it, but that makes a lot of sense now.
First and 20 after the hold. Cedric Joseph. Not much there, and this is what we talk about week in and week out when the Laval Rouge et Or are playing. You can't give them more opportunities. You can't afford to make mistakes, because consistently we've seen them make other teams pay for every one of those mistakes.
That's their MO. They're going to play tough every down, and they're going to capitalize on any kind of inch you give them. So far, really, the only momentum they've received today is because Western's made some mistakes.
Under a minute remaining here in the third quarter. Blitz coming. It's picked up. Merchant has time. Looking for Ellerman. And Ellerman makes the catch inside the Laval 50-yard line. Laurent Rondeau was right there, but Ellerman boxed him out.
Great body position by Ellerman, but a tremendous sit in the pocket by Merchant again. He's going to get hit once this is gone. And Ellerman, there he is. Body position, leaves the left arm open. Great catch.
25-yard gain, but perhaps more importantly, a Western first down. Under 30 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Joseph had Vincent Desjardins in the backfield again, and he just fell forward to the original line of scrimmage.
We talked briefly, Tim, about some of the mistakes Western made. There have been few and far between. They're not blatant mistakes. There have been some, roughing plays that have been called, 30 yards on one drive. But other than that, they played fundamentally sound technical football the whole day.
Merchant on second. Throws the flats and completes near the 35-yard line. McMaster has picked up a first down as we are through 3/4 of play in the 53rd Vanier Cup. The Western Mustangs looking for their first title since '94, lead 25-10.
Western continuing to impress along the ground as they have done in the postseason. A 15-point deficit for Laval heading for the fourth. Andy, it should be a more manageable 11.
Yeah, of course, the Rouge et Or had to settle for 3 there instead of 7. And the biggest problem right now for the Rouge et Or is that they're just running out of possessions in this ball game, because when Western has the ball, they're not going to and out. They're extending drives. The Rouge et Or can't finish off the play there. And they might be at a time soon if they don't get it right.
The Andes and Steph will join me post-game. Fourth quarter's yours, Tim and Mike.
And Alex Taylor, of course, who gets the first down carry from the 35, picked up 3 yards. And with a 15-point spread, any score right now is big for the Western Mustangs.
Oh, it's huge. And combine that with using the clock, they have the wind at their back. it is fully advantage Western at the moment. And now it comes down to just some management on the sidelines by the coaching staff, by Greg Marshall, just to continue to play the way they've been playing, and he'll be more than okay.
Wind has died down a little bit here. Merchant, pressure comes, hit again, and completes again. Touchdown, Western, Cole Majeros. Yards, and Western's about to put 32 on the board.
You talk about a guy in Majeros who's got 3 big catches today, 250 yards on the year regular season. He's more than made up for it today. He's played outstanding, but you got to give credit to Chris Merchant, the way he's sitting in the pocket. I mean, he's had some protection, but he's also got hit a few times, more than a few times. He's playing a tremendous game.
Tack on the extra point, and Western leads by 22. Merchant to Majeros. And let me tell you this, Mike. 1 reception, 13 yards in 3 postseason games coming in. He now has 3 catches and over 90 in this game, including the latest score.
And timely catches, too. I mean, he's played extremely well with a lot of poise. He's become a favorite target for Merchant.
So the sophomore out of Lakeshore Catholic in Fort Erie gives Western a 22-point lead, and Coach Constantin exhales. I've never seen him in that spot before, where he seems frustrated and looking for some sort of answer.
This is, you don't see the visual kind of exhale like we saw there. And on the flip side, you see Coach Greg Marshall, who's, notoriously has a lot more energy. He's very subdued. I think he senses what he has a very good thing going here, but he doesn't want to get too overconfident.
See that wind picking up. Dufour will put a knee down, and now 33-10. So a 23-point Western lead here in the opening minute of the 4th quarter.
And there's nothing at this point that leads me to believe that Laval, for what they've done in this game, is going to have 3 quick strikes to answer. That's kudos to Western in that defense.
Offside. Western, hors-jeu. 5 verges, répète le bloc. 5 yards, repeat the kickoff.
So they'll move them back 5, take that point off the board for now, and it's 32-10. The one thing that I think plays into Western's favor is the fact that last year in the Yates Cup against Laurier, they were up 21 points with 7 minutes left in that game and lost. Now that's heartbreaking when it happens, but you know that sticks in the memory of almost every one of those Mustangs.
Well, from the head coach on down, and certainly not something they talk about. Greg Marshall said, we don't revisit it often. I don't think you have to. That sticks in your mind, but boy, they can wipe that slate clean here.
Dufour.
About 14 minutes.
Out to the 32-yard line. And out comes the Laval offense.
So this here, Tim, is going to really set the tone. Daniel Brousseau back in the football game. He was dinged up earlier on. That's good for Laval's offense. Get a veteran in there. This particular drive and how they are able or not able to move up the field is going to be telling as this game winds down.
So 21 points was the lead in last year's Yates Cup. 22 points is the lead here with just under 14 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. On first down, it's complete to the outside. Christian Dallaire on the reception. He's close to the 41-yard line, which would be a pickup of 9 yards. First catch of the game for Dallaire.
Yeah, but Bouchard looks to the sideline, trying to get the play call in. They're still at this point huddling up.
Dallaire from Beauce-Appalaches, where Jean-Gabriel Poulin, the linebacker, the Western Mustangs' dad, Coach Glenn Constantine. That's a hit from Dion. Philippe Dion filling the hole and sending Christopher Amoa to the turf. Although he may have picked up the first down.
He may have, but it's all about making your presence felt. If you're going to get a yard, we're going to make you pay for it. And what he does, he wraps up and scoops. Tremendous job. Filling the gap, squaring up, and then taking the legs out at the same time.
Philippe Dion was the first of the Francophone players to go to Western as they have the first down. And Coach Marshall said he was the guy that convinced everybody else. Such a leader, and there were those that would follow from Champlain.
Yeah, and you get the sense today that he's been the leader on the football field as well, rallying these guys. He's been around the ball all day long, and certainly I'm sure there's a vested interest to beat, you know, the province from where he came.
Interesting, as Richard goes into the huddle, they were trying to send in Nicolas Gay, but he couldn't make it. So instead they sent in their big fella, Francois Chabot. They've been struggling at the tackles and even at the guards, just been moving guys through. Chabot started last week, but didn't finish last week. He's at the top of your screen, the tackle. Keep an eye on him. Richard over the middle. And that is jarred loose again. Sopik knocked it out of the hands of Gagnon Brousseau. Every time someone tries to make a play, seems like there's a big hit from these Western linebackers.
Yeah, we talked about Poulin, but Sopik as well, around the football all the time. Look, just finds it. Does enough to jar the ball loose, but back to this offensive line for Laval. They've been notoriously the dominant offensive line for years. This year is probably the one year where you can visually see a bit of a drop-off.
Hugo Richard set Laval records for pass completions and attempts because they had to chuck it. They weren't running the ball well, and he chucked it right through the hands of Gagnon Brousseau. And time is starting to run out on the Laval Rouge et Or.
Greg Marshall keeping that stoic look on his face, but you got to know inside he's now getting very, very close to this thing that's eluded him for many, many years, both as the Western Mustang head coach and the McMaster Marauder head coach. He's got his team playing very well today.
His 18th season as a head coach at the university level. He's won Coach of the Year. He's won Coach of the Year in the CFL, but he has never won a Vanier Cup as a head coach. Western gets the ball back. That's Sinanis. And he is shoved down at the 36-yard line. Just 12 minutes, 2 seconds. Stand in the way of Marshall capturing that elusive first. Western leading 32-10. A look at the game summary brought to you by Adidas. Western now 12 consecutive games in which they have scored on their first possession. And they've been able to do it on defense, Mike, which surprises me.
Oh, they've done a tremendous job on defense, really. I think that's where a lot of the attention should be. I mean, this offense is, you know, we've seen what they've done on a regular basis, but the defense stepping up. But we see, amidst a bit of smoke, we see the big smoke down the road.
Arsler Middle DeFasco, Vanier Cup. The sun shining in Toronto. We'll see if it shines on the Western Mustangs, who lead 32-10. We looked out across Lake Ontario. Alex Taylor, big hole. Alex Taylor to midfield. A pickup of 16 on first down.
You know, I'm just so impressed with the way the Mustangs have stuck with their game plan. They had success early. They've continued to basically go after Laval. They don't get tested often, but they're getting tested here today by a team that obviously is well prepared and has a lot of momentum on their side.
Taylor now 19 rushes, 122 yards. It's the best defense in the nation. And on 1st and 10, he gets it again. Right up the gut. Alex Taylor down to the 36-yard line, but a flag on the turf. Back near the original line of scrimmage.
And just too bad Bouchard's going to be called with the hold here. It's slightly away from the play, but just gets his arms wrapped around Alex Taylor, the huge hole. That's that zone read. He just cuts it back Unfortunately, holding on the play.
Holding, retenue. Western, 5 en 2, number 52. 10 yards, 10 verges, répète premier essai, first down repeated. First down.
You think Greg agrees with the call?
I'm going to go with no.
No, okay. Just not a great poker player.
We don't have closed captioning, thankfully.
It is a big penalty. Now 1st and 20 instead of deep in Laval territory. Western working from their own 44. Play action. Merchant flushed out of the pocket and he will go down. Trying to rip the ball loose was Desjardins. Might have got back to the initial line of scrimmage. Desjardins says maybe a yard back so I can get that sack.
Still a smart play by Merchant. Everything's closing down around him.
Wonder how big that holding penalty could be.
It could be, and that's really the way Laval capitalizes, is off your own mistakes, which they did earlier on in the football game. So this is a huge play here for Western to get something back.
Give Desjardins that sack and call it 2nd and 21. Pump fake, quarterback draw. Across midfield, lowering his shoulder, and he is close to first down. In fact, he has the first down. Call it a gain of 22 and a Mustang first down.
And a tremendous run, great recognition. This is a call play the whole time. You look upfield, he knows he's slightly short. He actually looks like he peeks to the sideline on the right to know the down and distance. Takes a little peek, puts his head down. That's just a tremendous effort by Merchant.
And football IQ. Just to have the presence of mind to know down and distance and know where you could find the sticks, because they're only on one side of the field. Taylor. Vanier will get him after a gain of 5. But again, clock is the ally of the Western Mustangs, and this sustained drive allows it to tick, tick, tick.
Taylor getting the bulk of the rushes in the end. Cedric Joseph on the sideline, but again, no issues there. All that matters is the victory for those two.
Coach Marshall saying as such, never heard a hint of ego from either one of them. Here's Taylor on 2nd down. Eau Claire the tackle. And this will be close to another Mustang first down.
Tim, this is going to be within a foot, I think, but you're Greg Marshall. You're going to bury them. You take a look at the sideline, and you don't see it often. This team has played in some close games, and we haven't touched on it today. They played in some tight games over the last few weeks, Laval. Western's played in some big blowouts, and we didn't know if that was going to, work into the favor of Laval, because they've been in these tight matches, and Western's kind of had their way with teams. But it seems like perhaps Laval's a bit worn down and Western's a bit fresher.
Try and untangle the chain here and figure out that Western has a first down. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. What do we got there, Mikey?
We're an inch short.
Well, they're going to say 3rd down. Greg Marshall. Steve Snyder.
You're going for it.
So this is absolutely critical to Laval Rouge et Or with 9 minutes left, because they have an opportunity to get a stop. But as we know in Canadian football, a yard off the ball and one of the best O-lines in university sport. Merchant will sneak it. He'll go over the top for the first down. And the timekeeper is going to get a rest here. That's exactly what Greg Marshall and the Mustangs want.
Well, you keep the ball in the hands of your playmaker, and that really has been Merchant for the majority of this game. That running backs have played tremendously as well, Joseph and Taylor, but Merchant he's got the fire, he's got the ambition, he's got the hot hand, and you just got to roll with it.
It's amazing to me how well this offensive line has played for Western. 3 sophomores, a junior, and a senior. Normally when you're playing in this game, you got 50-year seniors littered. It's a young team and a young O-line. Making holes for this guy. Alex Taylor rips off another 11 and another Western first down.
Oh, Taylor's got the hot hand too, and the way he's attacking the football, he's jump stepping. All he's doing, he's asking his receivers down the field or the guys blocking is just give me a side. Allow me to choose a side. I'll take it. Big gain for 11.
22 rushes, 142 yards now for Alex Taylor, the 3-time All-Canadian. He's the deep back offset I. Merchant in the pistol. He gets to the outside. The cut back at the 15. Down to the 11-yard line. But how about 11 more and another Western first down? I feel like I'm repeating myself.
Like deja vu all over again. As Taylor gets a break, Cedric Joseph comes in. No, Taylor wanted the corner. He wanted it bad. He knew he was outflanked a bit. Great job by Laval to do that. He cuts it back inside for the first down. Get a good look here. He takes it. He wants to hit the corner. Willette gets him, and it's just a couple quick little moves to get back to the inside.
First time we've called Matthew Bett's name in a while as he makes the tackle. Here's Cedric Joseph. Once they get near that 10, they go to their second string back, who just happened to have scored 23 touchdowns this season.
And he's going to take a break too. Well, actually, he's staying in the game with Alex Taylor coming in. But yeah, back to the Betts thing in this offensive line, and not only offensive line, the fullbacks that add in, the receivers, they've done a tremendous job taking Betts out of the game. They're extending the line of scrimmage. They're making him fight through a couple guys to get there.
Taylor in the slot. Joseph is the deep back. On second down, Merchant keeps. Merchant! And that might be the icing on the cake with 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Touchdown, Western. And I might be just as stunned as that Laval sideline.
Well, you and I both, Tim, not because we didn't think Western could put up some points and play a good football team, but because we've seen Laval fight back from adversity. Western has not stopped pushing the gas pedal. They've kept going, and they're just burying them now.
I think what shocked me the most is that as Leggio tacks on the extra point for a 39-10 lead, this has been thorough domination from the Western Mustangs against the #1 team in the nation. 7:08 left, fourth quarter. Western can smell it. For a long time, the Western Mustangs held the record for most Vanier Cups with 6. But since Laval was born, their football program in 1995, they have surpassed the Stangs. But they are just 7 minutes, 8 seconds away from returning to that glory.
Oh, this just brings me back to memories of getting beat by Western on a regular basis. And you know what? They have done everything in their power to come out on top today and are sitting extremely pretty to add another one on the shelf.
Dufour from his own 10. And he'll step out of bounds at the 32-yard line. 27-yard line. Mustangs running roughshot. They're up 39-10. Georges Vanier's Cup is in the building. And the Western Mustangs haven't captured that trophy since 1994. But they lead the Laval Rouge et Or 39-10. There's 7 minutes now remaining in the fourth quarter. Does Laval have a miracle? Dallaire on the reception. Has his legs cut out by Sopik. Call it a 9-yard gain.
What I've seen out of Western today, especially on defense, is they're around the football the whole time. And when you have a defense that rallies to the football, and Greg Marshall talked about this to us the other day, Tim, he's got a defense that's small, but they run and they hustle.
They gave him 10 yards in the first down. I'm surprised that Laval hasn't taken a shot with Tyrone Pierre, who once set the conference record with 311 receiving yards. Breton Robert, incomplete, hit the turf before it ended up in the hands of Jordan Beaulieu.
And you're right, really, with the exception of the blown coverage earlier on where they have their only touchdown today, there haven't been too many deep shots. A lot of them underneath that you see, very similar, catchable football there as well.
Just a drop from Breton Robert. The Quebec Conference All-Star wide receiver. 2nd and 10. Richard. Western only rushes 3, and they still flush him out. Rarely does he throw on the run, and he can't complete. It is knocked down. That time it's Vanier who got the paws up.
Well, you watch the body language for Hugo Richard, even as he was rolling with the football in his hand still. He is none too happy with his receivers that he had nowhere to throw the football. We could look at it here. That's a sign of a frustrated quarterback. Even as he's running.
Yeah, he's saying, hands go up, where are you?
You're running with the football and you're doing that. You know someone's in your head.
Down 29, you don't go for it?
Man,
I mean, this is it, right? Here's Yannick Haroux. He has stood up at the 30-yard line and buried. So unable to slow the horsepower of the Western Mustangs, have been the #1 defense in the nation. Laval Rouge et Or. Western, I mean, you look at the numbers over the season and I thought, these are astonishing. Their points per game, 7.8 better than the 2nd best, which was Calgary. Yards per game, 90 yards more than anyone else in the nation. And rushing yards per game, basically the same.
Oh, and they've literally humanized this Laval team.
Yeah.
They have brought them, broken them, and they have owned the whole flow of this football game.
Here's Taylor, and he is dropped after a gain of maybe 1. Daniel Chimala on the tackle. Surprised we haven't seen more of him either. He transferred from St. FX, playing in what most probably is his last football game. Could move on to the pros. He's among just 4 fifth-year seniors on this Laval team, and you're starting to hear the refrains of a certain song, Michael. Merchant on the run and completes. Bessager with the reception and a Western first down. But a flag down back at the 25-yard line.
There's a flag down, and Bessager's got to be very careful not to draw another one for taunting. Good look here. Play action pass again. Merchant throws very well on the run.
Yeah, he does.
Good job going down to get it. And this is actually going against Laval.
Roughing the passer. Rudess contre le passeur. 15 verges, 15 yards. First down. Premier sake.
And that song, a familiar refrain in the province of Quebec. Back in the old days of the Battle of Quebec in the NHL, you would hear it back and forth. And the Western fans, despite what happened to them in the Yates Cup last year, feeling real confident, and I don't blame them. Closing in on 4.5 left in the 53rd Vanier Cup. Cedric Joseph, the Quebec native, bets among those in white jerseys, dragging him down.
Yeah, bets have been taken out of the football game. As a matter of fact, he's getting a little frustrated. Here he is, and he draws that penalty. Late hit, that's the 15-yarder. They are flipping the script.
Yeah.
On the Laval Rouge et Or, that's for sure.
This is a guy that people have talked about, Jim Washburn, a longtime defensive line coach with the Tennessee Titans, thinking he's a surefire NFLer. And Western has nullified him for the most part in this football game. Is run blitzing now on 2nd down Taylor dropped for a loss of 2, which will bring up 3rd down, and Mark Leggio, the Western punter.
And this is okay right here. If you're Western, you're going to milk this clock, wind it down right to the 3-minute marker as close as you can. Get a nice punt off, play it safe, rally and tackle, then really just force Laval to make plays. They haven't been able to do it all game long. Just put it all on their shoulders.
Dufour, 3-time Quebec Conference All-Star as a returner. 2 touchdowns last season, 1 touchdown this season on returns. And frankly, Laval needs 1. Maybe 2. And he is tripped up at the 18-yard line. Western Special Teams has done very well. So we got a Western Mustang, and that is a backup linebacker, Miles Manalo, a freshman from Burlington, just around the bend here from Tim Hortons Field.
You know, Tim, we talked about specials. The panel talked about specials, how important they've been, and Western's really lived up to their end of the bargain. They knew they were outmatched, but they have hustled and grinded it out and done everything asked of them. And Laval really has looked, you know, not the team that we're used to seeing. As we get a look at Manalo on the field and getting looked at, he's hustling down, just trips over his own man before the tackle's made, and tremendous tackle downfield.
You never like to see a young man clutching the knee, but stretching might be a good thing. Hopefully he's okay. Former Burlington Stampeder. Probably played a couple times on this turf before.
Well, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he's got some family in the crowd as well. They've got to be pretty excited at the way things have turned out so far today.
The last time the Western Mustangs played in the Vanier Cup, it was a loss on these very grounds. Different field, it's been shifted. It was Michael Faulds who was the losing quarterback to the very same Laval Rouge et Or. But Chris Merchant and the Western Mustangs look as though they've flipped the script on Laval. This would be number 7 for the Western Mustangs, trailing only Laval, who are looking for the perfect 10, or at least near perfect. 9-1 Laval and Vanier Cup matches till this point. Western 6-6. About to go 7-6.
Yeah, I don't think there's a hope for Laval Rouge et Or to hit 10 today, and Western has certainly taken that away from them.
Amoa is going to get a ball carry, and he's going to get drilled by who else but Philippe Dion. The 3-minute warning, 2:48 away from crowning Western Vanier Cup champs.
Brad Fay back with Western Mustang legend Andy Fantuz. This group, Andy, didn't carry the entire 23-year burden, but they're certainly aware of it. What's the emotions as we get under 3 minutes and they're about to win the Vanier Cup?
I'm sure there's a little bit of a shock factor there. They probably didn't expect to be up like this. I'm sure they believed that they could do it, but you know, normally at this point in the game when you're leading, you're just watching the clock tick down, but I'm sure these guys are enjoying every second of it. You can tell the way they're reacting with the crowd and interacting back and forth. They're having a great time.
It has been impressive from start to finish. That is the season and this day for the Western Mustangs. Back to Tim and Mike to finish it up.
There's Tyrone Pierre on 2nd down. It'll be 3rd and 2. And it looks like Glenn Constantine, a good friend of Greg Marshall, has conceded. He's running out the punt unit.
Yeah, I think this happened a bit earlier on in this quarter where Glenn Constantine respects that the Western Mustangs have beaten the Laval Rouge et Or, and he's not going to try to do the impossible here.
Sananis chased out of bounds at the 32-yard line. The Montreal native among those Western Mustangs about to deliver. Greg Marshall, the only thing that has eluded him in his head coaching career, a Vanier Cup, a CFL Coach of the Year, the record unbelievable as a head coach in U Sports football, 147, 43, and 2.
His time at McMaster was stellar. The only thing that he missed out on was the Vanier. His time with Western's been fantastic. I was able to share the field with him as the head coach. He was the head coach of Hamilton. They did a tremendous job. This is vindication for many, many years of hard work.
And kind of storybook when you think about it. Taylor again, the ball carry. Pick up 2 yards.
I think
he was telling us earlier how his family grew up in this city, whether it be with McMaster or the Ticats. And you remember his 3 boys who all went through the Western football program, running around as Tykes during the Hamilton Tiger Cat practices.
You bet. You bet. You'd throw them the football, they'd be catching the football and hanging around. When you grow up in that atmosphere and kind of the holy grail of what you're trying to do eludes you, it's easy to get down. But, man, the longevity and the fortitude that Coach Marshall has had to get to this point is just something else.
Taylor hit at the 35. So Brian, Tommy, and Donnie, who all played on offense for Greg Marshall at Western. Part of the reason why he wanted to go back to Western as the head coach, so he could get a chance to spend more time with his family. Obviously watching this with huge smiles on their face.
Oh, you better believe it. And that smile from Greg's going to come out relatively soon. It's getting there as they feel it. He gets the hugs on the sideline now. The strange, not the strange thing, the unbelievable thing, if you're, another program in the country, is Western's going to be back with almost the same lineup. This is a young football team.
Very young football team. Same with Laval, though. As Leggio kicks it out of bounds at the 43-yard line. It's time for our play of the game, brought to you by ArcelorMittal Dofasco. And in the ArcelorMittal Dofasco Vanier Cup, Chris Merchant set the tone as he has all season long on that first drive of the football game.
Well, that's what it was. They started off strong. They had to, but we say they had to because of what Laval brings to the football field, but really they've done it all year long. Merchant's played outstanding. He's controlled the game. He's played with great leadership. He showed great poise, and really the toughness that he showed, both mentally and physically, has been outstanding.
Talk about Laval for a flash. Just 4 fifth-year seniors that they will lose. Now, they have a lot of very smart kids on this team that sometimes use up their eligibility after 4, as the Gatorade bath seems to be forthcoming. David Mackey, a fullback, of course, delivering the blow to the former fullback and Heck Crichton Award winner Greg Marshall. Shares an embrace with his head coach. .120 remaining. Valerie Tardif on the reception, breaks a couple of tackles to the 50-yard line and beyond to the 49. A first down for Laval.
Even on the sidelines, Chris Merchant still poised, still heading the football game.
Yeah.
The guys are loosening up a bit, but he's still in tune with what's going on. And 2 fantastic programs that you don't want, to win any other way, is to beat the best. And Greg Marshall mentioned it, so did Glenn Constantin, and the best team today by far is Western.
Richard finds Pierre, stayed on his feet. Richard took a huge pop. Tyrone Pierre will go down at the 32-yard line. And there it is. They missed the mark a little bit, but Greg Marshall will take it. It's amazing that it's been this long. I was on a local radio station. They said, "You mean Greg Marshall hasn't won a Vanier Cup.
This is the only miss of the game.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Just a bit outside. Other than that, it's been outstanding for Western all the way around. And you're right, Greg is well deserving. And
Richard completes. And it's nice to see Daniel Rousseau back into the game. I think he's picked up the first down, but this is all academic right now.
This is just Laval playing out the game. They're at the point where I think the start of the fourth quarter, they probably knew they were in quite tough to make this up. And
how about that for a journey for Chris Merchant? High school at Western Canada in Calgary, transfers to St. Andrews, just north of Toronto, to the University of Buffalo, and now to Western, where he'll be Vanier Cup champion. Tyrone Pierre, the catch. Under 20 seconds remain. Flag comes out late. In fact, a couple of flags.
That'd be face mask.
Class act, this head coach of Laval Rouge-et-Or.
Without a doubt. 14 seconds left on the clock. It wouldn't surprise me if they just ran a run play here to kind of finish the football game.
Unnecessary roughness, rudesse, face mask, protecteur facial, Western, numero 15, number 15. Ball will be placed at the 1-yard line. Premier say.
A little unintentional grab of the face mask and puts them up on the 1. Certainly not going to decide the game, but may make a few fans happy to punch it in.
You know, this Western defense doesn't want to give it up.
Not a chance.
Richard's going to throw to the end zone and a flag down. Beaulieu tug on the back shoulder, maybe the back arm a little bit.
He played it.
They didn't want to give it up.
No, they don't want it. He played it pretty much textbook. Keep the right hand free and left hand on the back, but I think he got a bit of a tug. And the referee right behind the back judge is there to see
Pass
it.
interference, obstruction offensive, Western, numero 31, Premier say, first down.
So daps and head taps all around that Western sideline. Just 11 seconds away now. Alarie Tardif, one of those fifth-year seniors, and fitting that they give him the rock to take it into the end zone. A nice move by Constantine Richard in that offense.
Yeah, a little late, obviously, but they got the points on the board. I guess it's almost fitting that the ball is going to be kicked off back to Western, and Chris Merchant's going to have a chance to kneel down for the victory.
I just think it's cool they gave the fifth-year senior the ball.
Oh, yeah. Alarie Tardif, the great playoff run.
Those guys are just waiting. Just waiting for those final seconds to tick off. And you might see a field rush from the Western students that have made the trek from London. It's too bad there's not more of them here to celebrate what it will be their first national championship since 1994.
The ones that are here are quite excited as they are ready to storm the field, and take a look at the Laval fans, who they travel very well.
Always. We look at the Laval Rouge-et-Or, who will not be back. Fifth-year seniors. You always feel for those guys in these spots. Football is not like many games. Once it's over, it's over. And I'm sure you get the itch every once in a while, standing up here in this kind of weather.
You believe it, then I realize there's not a chance that I could do it again. But you know, you hate to see guys finish their career, university career, on a kind of down note. But boy, did they ever have a tremendous run over their 5-year career at Laval.
Yeah.
Nothing to be ashamed of, that's for sure.
The Mustangs just waiting to celebrate. Try the squib kick, and Western will just try and run it out. Cedric Joseph slides down with 1 second left on the clock. And a little premature celebration from the Mustang students, and they will allow that second to click off. Lucky number 7 for the Mustangs. For the first time since 1994, Western University are Vanier Cup champs. We go down on the sidelines. Nicky Reyes standing by with the winning quarterback, Chris Merchant.
Chris Merchant undefeated on the season, and now you guys are Vanier Cup champions. How does that sound?
It's the best thing in the world. I'm going to tear up pretty soon because I said it. We had the best team in the country. I fully believed it. And I said in the press conference, I love these guys. They're my brothers. And we're the closest group of people I've ever been around. So we're just going to enjoy the moment, and it's the best thing in the world.
You talked about silencing the haters. How does it feel to finally prove yourselves, prove that this team is the best?
It feels unbelievable. And obviously, we're going to have to play well in the next couple of years as well. But this, again, we're just going to really enjoy this moment and celebrate with each other. And yeah.
You took some big shots in this game. Looked like you were favoring your left side there. Talk about the resiliency you had and your motivation just to keep it going.
Yeah, they got some great players. They hit hard. They rallied the ball really well. I took some shots, and obviously I was in a little bit of pain there, but it's the Vanier Cup. You got to play through a little bit, and obviously that's going to happen. I got quite a bit of rest now, so I'm just going to enjoy that.
Congratulations. Go celebrate.
Thank you very much.
Glenn Constantine using this as a teaching point. You wonder if Chris Merchant isn't a favorite, perhaps, for the player of the game. Alex Taylor, 150 yards rushing, as we send it down to our crew from pregame and halftime. Brad Fay and the boys. Brad.
All right, Tim McAuliffe with Andy Beckler, Steph Potasic, and Andy Fantuz as we put a capper on a dominating victory for the Western Mustangs, a dominating season. Don't go anywhere. We'll have the presentation of the Vanier Cup and a couple of candidates for the most outstanding players, certainly for Western across the board. But Steph, I'll start with you because you've been through that battle as a coach and reaching the top of the mountain in 2011. Nobody's done it longer and better than Greg Marshall without having that on his resume, and now he will put a ring on the finger.
He owns the Yates Cup, the Ontario Championship. He has won it every year almost, and it's got a place on his mantle because it's coming in every year. And so this anomaly of not getting to the Vanier Cup and winning one is just that, an anomaly. There's no doubt in his legacy. He's one of the best coaches we have ever seen, ever, period. It's so great to see him win this. He deserves it. It was just goofy bad luck and not the right time. Today was his time.
13th appearance for Western, which is an all-time record, Andy. Now they get their 7th title, the first one since '94. That kind of drought with that program, as you know, you went through it, got close yourself. There's Western alum all across the country, and I'm sure they're beaming with pride like you are sitting here today.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a long time since we were at this spot. I was walking around the stadium. I saw so many familiar faces, both people I played with, people played after me and before me. Like you said, purple and proud. They're breathing with pride, and they deserve it. What a dominating performance. Can't say enough about that run game again, but the unsung hero to me is that defense. They had that one breakdown in coverage in the first half. Since then, they just shut them down, and they're the winners here for sure.
More to come from this end momentarily, but back to Nikki with Fraser Sopik.
All right, Fraser, this is what you guys worked for all year. How does this moment feel for you? Vanier Cup champion.
Feels amazing. It's what you come to Western to win, so we got it done. We got it done for our coaches, most importantly, the man, so it's amazing.
Are you surprised at how you were able to neutralize this team throughout the game?
Not really, no. We knew what was coming. We prepped so hard all week. We knew we were way better than them, to be honest, and we came out and we dominated today, which was nice.
Lastly, you talked about it, winning this far. Guys, I think we lost him. How does it feel to celebrate this moment here with your son?
This is my boy. He's going to be a future star. So, he's the best.
Celebrations continue for the Western Mustangs, and Andy Beckler, the focus all week was the Western offense versus the Laval defense. The offense lived up to its expectation on the Western side, but so did the defense because they held the defending champs in check.
Yeah, they're unbelievable, and you got to keep in mind the Western Mustangs lost 2 kids on their defensive line to the CFL, and Rupert Butcher and John Bewald, 2 excellent players, both gone. That's tough to replace. The guys up front on the defensive line for Western, they all did a great job. We saw Andrew Thurston get to the backfield today, Martin with some big plays. So those guys did a great job, and the linebacking core is the strength. Fraser Sopick and company there are unbelievable.
And there's a couple of the great ones, couple of guys that you know well, Steph. A nice embrace after the game.
Yeah, class acts, both men. Glenn has been there many times, and I'm sure once this wears off, he is genuinely thrilled for Coach Marshall and has tremendous respect for him.
428 yards on the ground versus Laurier, 454 versus Acadia, and over 300 today versus Laval. Alex Taylor with Nikki.
Alex, you told me last week that you're going to be 110% ready for this game. The knee looked good. You looked good. How does it feel to be Vanier Cup champion?
It's pretty cliche, but words don't really describe the feeling, you know. It's the first one for G-Marsh, the first one for us, obviously. It was special to do it in potentially my last year, and special to do it for a lot of the guys that won't be back next year, and special to do it for G-Marsh. I know he wanted this, and people said that Laval was the big dog, and we felt confident the whole season that we were the team to beat, and we came out here, we showed it, and I'm just real proud of my teammates and myself. So.
Were you surprised at how you guys were able to control this game from the beginning, considering that Laval is the #1 team in the country?
No, not really. You know, we put a lot of hours of preparation into this whole thing, and I think this game was won back in last February when you know the off season really kicked into gear, and a big part of that was our strength coach, Coach Watson, and you know all the preparation that started then, the indoor practices, the early morning workouts. And then beginning of August when we really started to put in the work to draw up plays and get ready. So this game was won a long time ago. We knew that we were the top dogs, and we knew what we had to do, and we came out and did it.
I got to ask you, how are you guys going to celebrate this win tonight?
We're going to go back to London and share this trophy with the City of London. You know, it's been a long time since this trophy's been in London, and hopefully get a lot of people out and just take it all in. Take it all in. Thank you very much.
Just about an hour down the road to London. Won't that be a fun trip back and a party on and around the campus of Western University that gets their 7th title on this day. Laval, the all-time leaders with 9, and as Tim mentioned, Laval looking for a perfect 10 on this day. It's Western that completes the perfect season. And when you start to look at the numbers and you add up the points, playoffs, and regular season, it's an almost 500-point differential from points scored to points given up. So, Andy, now that we know they are the best in 2017, and they will take that regardless of where they sit historically, you could begin to talk about this team as one of the most dominant teams of all time, because nobody knew that until today, because the playoff opponents maybe weren't up to the level. But when you beat the defending national champs and the best team in the country over the last decade or two, you got to be mentioning that category.
Absolutely. I'd like to hear the argument against it.
Yeah.
Because the numbers are staggering, and all you can do is play in your era and against your era. And when I think you look back on the 2017 Western Mustangs and what they've done throughout the course of the season, and now against the #1 ranked team in Laval, it's not much of an argument, because all you've got is different eras, and I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, Andy, boy, you played back in the early part of the 2000s and then have gone on, obviously, to play professionally, but you keep an eye on your alma mater and the entire youth sports fraternity. Have you seen an offense this dominant, a team this dominant?
I haven't. They had a strong team last year, and they got upset by Laurier. They've had a few teams in the past 10 years that have been really good, but nobody as good as this team. They had a tough game in week 2 against Guelph, where they had to overcome some adversity, win in overtime, and since then they've just been full steam ahead. They haven't looked back, and you could tell by the reactions of the players. They expected to win. They knew they would be here. They're confident, and they play as a team. They're not individuals.
Steph, what was the moment in this ball game? Maybe it was the first drive, but we've seen Laval give that up before, that made you realize Western did not have that fear of Laval that other teams rightfully had.
certainly the first drive of the game was special, but to come out of the locker room where Glenn and Laval usually comes out and rallies, and they've been behind, to go down the field, Western, and score again on the opening drive of the second half, you knew this was different. And Western at no point seemed uncomfortable. Laval seemed uncomfortable from start to finish. This was as dominant a performance as I've ever seen against Laval. You don't see this ever.
Yeah, life in football for Greg Marshall, certainly not done, but in 1980 he wins the Heck Crichton, the top individual honor as a player, winds up in the CFL, wins Coach of the Year in 2004, finally gets the Vanier Cup now, and you know, because of his feelings for Canadian University football, I think this one's going to matter the most. But speak to his legacy in this game, because he covers a lot of eras, all the ones that you guys have played in and or coached in.
Yeah, he's certainly kind of in the royalty of Canadian football, university, pro level. He's, footprints in both. You talk to players who've had the privilege to play under Greg Marshall, and the amount of respect and the amount of praise that they heap on him, it speaks to his character and how he handles his program, and couldn't be happier for him today.
All right, Nicky is standing by with the man himself, finally a Vanier Cup champion, Greg Marshall.
Coach, you've said that this is not the most talented team that you've ever had, but here you are, Vanier Cup champions. What do you have to say about this team now?
The most hardened character that I've ever been associated with. I've never been more proud of a team than these guys right here.
Coach, all your players said that they wanted to win this for you and your illustrious career. How does this feel, and where does this rank?
We got great kids. It is the best. This is the best. And this is the best team that I've coached. I mean, outstanding character. I'm so proud of these guys. You know what? It's almost surreal, though. It's like we've been trying to get here for so long, and now that it's here, it's pretty amazing.
Does this erase that shocking loss last year and make up for everything?
Yeah, I long forgot about that.
Hey, Coach, how are you going to celebrate this? Got to ask you.
It's going to be a late night. We're going to get after pretty good tonight. We're coming back to London. Look out.
Please enjoy it.
Thanks.
Oh, beautiful stuff from Greg Marshall. We're getting after it. We're coming back to London. And look out and look at that mark. 116, 26-2. They are gathered to the left of our position here, getting close to the presentation up on the stage of the 53rd Vanier Cup, as Western runs the table this year and are crowned the champions of 2017. And now the moment that they have waited 23 years for on campus, and alumni again across the country will watch and rejoice as we take you to the ceremony and Ben Chapdelaine.
Welcome back. It is now time for the Player of the Game Awards, along with the Vanier Cup Trophy presentation. Passons maintenant à la présentation des joueurs du match et de la Coupe Vanier 2017. We will begin with the Bruce Coulter Award. It is presented to the outstanding offensive or defensive player in the Vanier Cup game. The award is named after Bruce Coulter, head football coach at McGill and Bishop's Universities. Le prix Bruce Coulter est présenté aux joueurs offensifs ou défensifs par excellence du match de la Coupe Vanier. To present the trophy, Mr. Glenn Grunwald, Director of Athletics at McMaster University and co-chair of the organizing committee. The winner of this year's Bruce Coulter Award, le numéro 32, number 32, Fraser Sopik.
Careful. It is. Oh, yeah. Congratulations. Team.
Thank you. One hand hug.
Congratulations, Fraser.
Thank you.
Great game.
I'm going to hold it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Great game. Don't drop it on you, too.
Go down now. Go down.
Go share it.
And now, for the Ted Morris Memorial Trophy, presented to the most outstanding player in the Vanier Cup game. The award is named for Ted Morris, a former Argos player and coach. Morris played a huge role in developing young Canadians' football careers. Le trophée commémoratif Ted Morris est présenté aux joueurs s'étant le plus distingué au cours du match de la Coupe Vanier. Ted Morris, un ancien joueur et entraîneur des Argonauts de Toronto, a joué un rôle majeur dans le développement des jeunes footballeurs au Canada. To present the award, please welcome Therese Quigley, past president of Youth Sports. The recipient of this year's Vanier Cup MVP Award, le quart arrière, quarterback number 12, Chris Merchant. And here to present the Vanier Cup, please welcome the CEO of ArcelorMittal Dofasco, Mr. Sean Donnelly, along with his wife, Donna. Pour présenter la Coupe Vanier, le président et directeur général d'ArcelorMittal Dofasco, Mr. Sean Donnelly, et son épouse, Donna. I'd like to call up the captains as we present the 2017 Vanier Cup to the Western Mustangs! Let's fucking do it! Thank you for your continued...
The last time that song played for the Western Mustangs was down the road in Toronto at the old Sky Dome, now the Rogers Centre, 1994. They will find their names of their school, I should say, on that trophy 6 previous times, but you have to go back one level. They are not on the new 3rd level at the bottom of that Vanier Cup, but they will be now as they are crowned 2017 Vanier Cup champions. And we saw the MVP named Chris Merchant, well-deserved. As we mentioned, there could have been a lot of names involved in that process of deciding, and I don't think they really care, Andy, but really the feel of this game was set on that first drive, and we talked about how they may be rusty as the celebrants make their way behind, as you can probably hear it, because they hadn't played anybody up to their level, realized no one in the country was up to their level. But that first drive was so confident, took them right down the field and set the tone for this game.
Yeah, that was kind of the measuring stick, wasn't it? You can kind of exhale after that first drive, see how you're matching up against these guys that you've been watching on film all week. And when the Mustangs passed that first early test, you could just kind of see the nerves, come off. I mean, the game started with Laval popping Western's kick returner, and you kind of thought, okay, uh-oh. But then after that first drive, you could just tell they're looking at each other and saying, we got this, and they did.
This is a kid, Andy Fantus, who came back from playing Division I football in the States. Similar story 2 years ago, UBC Michael O'Connor did it. In your talks with this group during the week, did you get the sense that the confidence was there and that it would start with the quarterback and make its way through the lineup?
Oh, definitely. Everyone you talk to, the first person they go to is Chris Merchant. What he does, his calm and collectiveness, how he's a leader on and off the field. And you could see it today, his toughness when he had to run the ball, and he's laying the hammer, he's laying the shoulder, he's fighting for those extra yards. He's hyping the fans up. He had the total package. He's the total package. He had the ultimate game today, and you can't say enough about him.
Yeah, and Steph, as you mentioned, that they hit him on that first drive, but it was the second half coming out knowing that Laval's sort of routine is feel it out in the first half and then begin to take it to you. So you need your leaders to start that second half, and Merchant clearly is that guy.
Yeah, and the gap seemed to widen as the game went on, not tighten up, which is very unusual with Laval. To Andy's point, I was so blown away by Merchant's toughness. Man, it was 2nd and 21, and he ripped a 22-yard run up the middle. The touchdown passes, most times he had a Laval Rouge D lineman in his chest. He stepped in and took a ton of hits and delivered start to finish.
More reaction from the field. Jean-Gabriel Poulin with Nikki.
Well, so much is made of this Western offense, but the defense came out to play. Are you surprised at how you were able to neutralize Laval?
Not surprised at all. We've been saying it all season. We work and we prepare harder than anybody else in the country, and I think it showed today. It's a culture here at Western. We outwork everyone, and there was not one point. I had no doubt in my mind that's what was going to happen.
What does it mean to win this cup for your coach, his first Vanier Cup?
It means everything. It means everything. He trusted Coach Marcus to come down to Quebec and recruit us, and it was a big trust process that he trusted us, we trusted him, and we knew we were going to get it done, and it means a lot. It means a lot. It's awesome.
How would you describe this moment? Is it everything that you imagined it would be?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's still surreal. It hasn't sunk in yet, but yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Go enjoy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Andy Fantus, let's go back to one of the pregame thoughts that Greg Marshall went out, recruited some Quebec kids that could have gone to Laval, could have gone to Montreal, likely would have, and you mentioned how much of an influence they had on this team right from the get-go.
Yeah, he was one of the first. They were the first group that he mentioned to me in the whole team. He said the impact they've had in the locker room and the professionalism going into practice every day and what kind of impact they had and influence on the rest of the team. It's the first thing he mentioned. So you could tell it's a huge part of it. Some of the major starters are from Quebec, and I'm sure it's extra sweet for them to beat some of.
All right, let's take it upstairs to Tim and Mike as we watch Western surround the Vanier Cup in celebration on the field. Guys.
Thank you, Brad. And it's fitting that Greg Marshall said that they're going to get after it in London because they got after it all season long. This was the 12th straight game they scored in an opening possession, and man, did that set the tone for what we saw for the rest of the game.
It was a tremendous game, and not only did they score in the opening possession of the first quarter, they scored in the opening possession of the second quarter and the third quarter, and were able to really keep it going. I never saw a more dominant game on all three aspects as I did, and add the coaching as a fourth against Laval. Everything was stacked up against Western. If you look at, if you're looking at the favorite coming in, and they did it. They did it in big fashion.
Chris Merchant, from that first drive where he threw the block, did a little bit of everything, and man, did he take a beating. He paid for every one of those yards. He paid for that MVP award.
He did, but his head was in the game from the get-go, and I think you noticed that by the way he played, the tempo of his game, the way he personified the toughness on the football field, and everything that went along with throwing the ball, running the ball, and just orchestrating the offense. He managed the game to perfection. His numbers may not be in the 300s, but it doesn't matter. He did everything asked of him and more.
All right, so the Western Mustangs averaged 608 yards per game in the regular season. We thought they would get nowhere close to that against Laval Rouge et Or. But lo and behold, I look down at the stats and I see 578 total yards for the Western Mustangs. A 12-0 perfect season, outscoring competitions on average 54-14. Is this the most dominant season that we have ever seen at the U Sports level?
I think it is, and I think they proved it today against the #1 team in the country, against a program that has had the utmost respect and really the wins to back it up over the last 2 decades. They did it. So they've proved to you and I, and I'm sure everyone who was able to watch and listen, that they are the dominant football program in the country in 2017.
So perfect. 12-0, gentlemen, on the season. And the scary thing about this group is that they're still young, Brad.
Incredible. We could see both these teams back here. Very likely Laval has proved that they turn it over like nobody else. And since Steph Patasik's McMaster team in 2011 knocked off Laval, they had not lost to anybody other than Montreal, their conference rival, until today. That's a span of 6 years, which is unbelievable. Last year on this field, they knocked off the Calgary Dinos to win their 9th Vanier Cup, and Western denies them a chance at a 10th by getting their first since 1994. So final thoughts now, not so much to say goodnight, but just on what we saw today from start to finish with this game. Was it that more impressive, or was the season start to finish more impressive for you, for Western?
Well, today I think basically we saw what we've seen all season, and that's when you're facing this Western team, you just feel like they're running downhill on you. You can see the opposition tire, and as soon as you're ready to crack in on those running backs, that's when Merchant pulls it, and you just feel like you're flooded, right? And we've seen, and I again, Laval has the player of the year in Matthew Betts on the defensive line, the stand-up player of the year in Eau Claire at linebacker. So they have the personnel where we thought, hey, not today. Mm-hmm. Instead, the offensive line set the tone, and it was deja vu.
I've been so impressed listening to these student athletes. They weren't happy to be here even a little bit. They expected to win. They expected to dominate. They wanted to prove to Laval and the rest of the nation that they are the best team in the nation. They've provided a lot of bulletin board information for Laval in the offseason. They have. So that'll be an interesting 2018.
Way, we're not in the haters pool because I believe the panel did all pick Western.
Yes.
So let's set that record straight.
But the maturity of these young men and the focus, it was telling. And so Coach Marshall has said this may not be the most talented, but the chemistry and the maturity, I don't think he's been on a team like this before. And Coach Marshall's been on lots of great ones.
Sorry, Seb, we heard Chris Merchant say pregame that, they were trying to quiet the haters. And we sort of, we're taken aback by that. You can speak to it, Andy. Is it something being at Western? Is there a feeling that you're kind of on an island and everybody else is always trying to knock you off?
Well, a touchy subject, I think, but
your team's champions now. You can talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely proud to be Mustang right now, and everybody seems to hate Western if they don't go there, but everybody who does go there thinks it's the best. That's goes without saying. But to me, this game was more impressive than the season. If they didn't come out on top in this game, it would have been another season where they were just almost there and not quite there. So I feel like this game really set in stone who they are and what their identity was this year, and they're the champions of the whole country.
And I just feel like you mentioned the confidence that Western plays with. It's contagious. I mean, just being here and watching it, you can sense it, and on both sides of the ball. Merchant's poised and a talented quarterback, and seeing Cedric Joseph check what time it is in the end zone is great. But on the other side of the ball, I mean, watching Fraser Sopik fly around, watching Dion step up and plug those holes in the run game, it's all three phases of the game. It's confident, and they should be, because they're a great team to watch.
You mentioned Cedric Joseph checking the watch. It's time for him to catch up with Nicky Reyes.
Cedric, running the ball has been the bread and butter of this team all season. You knew that they were going to try to stop the run, but how are you so dominant against the nation's top defense?
We have the best offensive line. We got the best offensive line in the nation. So them 5 boys up front, man, they prepared all week. They worked their hearts out all week, and they just came out. I moved their front 7 off the ball, and it made it a whole lot easier for us to, go out there and do our things.
Everyone was swarming the coach, saying that they love him. What does it mean to win this for him, his first Vanier Cup title?
It's unbelievable, man, just to be a part of this, undefeated season, especially him. He played and he won a Vanier as well when he was playing at Western, and to be a part of his first Vanier win, man, I can't really describe it. It's an unbelievable feeling. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it.
I will confirm he does have goosebumps. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Could be from the cold, likely from the celebration. Another Vanier Cup is in the books, and while this one didn't quite meet the standard of exciting finishes that we've seen, certainly in terms of impressive victories and perhaps surprising ones given what Laval has done, this ranks right up there. And for those that are involved with the Western Mustangs, doesn't matter how it ended up, that they take the trophy home with them, about an hour's drive to London. And as Greg Marshall said, get ready, we're coming to celebrate tonight. For Tim McAuliffe, Mike Moriali, and Nicky Reyes, and the all-Canadian receiving corps beside me, Andy Beckler, Steph Potasic, and Andy Fantu, as we say thanks for watching the 53rd edition of the Vanier Cup. I'm Brad Fay saying good night from Hamilton.
The 2 most decorated programs in Canadian college football for the right to call themselves national champions. Merchant the keeper. Merchant. Touchdown, Western. Cedric Joseph dancing. Touchdown, Western. Joseph cuts it outside.
And the best team today by far is Western.
For the first time since 1994, Western University are Vanier Cup champs.